This is where things last. Memories don't fade. Moments live on. The ebb and flow of emotions is a continuous wave we all ride together.
Left center field. It could be. It is a home run.
A base hit down the right field line, and he is safe at the plate. That's Olsen magic.
There's an energy that runs through the best college town in America, but a down-home vibe runs right along with it. We grow here. Our hearts and minds never exit Aggieland. But when we physically move on, we're built for the long haul.
A.J. Minter stepped right up.
MVP of the NLCS, Michael Walker.
They went up to the races. Unbelievable!
This is where things last. This is Texas A&M baseball.
Night number one rolls on of this 2024 Kubota College Baseball Series. From Globe Life Field in Arlington, we just had a thriller to kick off the weekend. 6 full games. TCU knocking off USC 9-8 and 11. How will this one match up as it's a Pac-12 SEC showdown? Arizona State taking on 7th-ranked Texas A&M. Hi, everybody. Welcome back inside the Globe Life Field with Ty Harrington. I'm Ben Wilson. We wonder how this one will match up to the first game we had today, Ty. Well, for Texas A&M, they haven't really played any close games. They've played 8 games, scored 80 runs, and allowed just 8 so far. A number that pretty much speaks for itself, right?
I mean, it tells you about their offense when you score 80, and their numbers are just unbelievable. And you look at the ERA, it's a sub-1 with only 8 runs scored. I think it speaks volumes.
You now take on an Arizona State team hungry to make a big impression, a team that is in its final year in the Pac-12 before transitioning to Big 12 play. This will be a venue that they will play in future seasons as part of their conference tournament action. And this is how they line up with the order. You know, a team that's been really solid on offense. That's not been the issue so far, Ty. It's really been the pitching for Arizona State. You know what you're getting on offense, and it's the return of Nick McLean. His first appearance this year was banged up to start the campaign for Willie Bloomquist Sun Devils.
Well, I'm going to tell you what, I had a chance to come out and practice the other day. And to sit there and watch this group take BP was impressive. I mean, the right field bleachers out there, they were just launching balls left and right. So yes, you're right, the offensive side of who the Sun Devils are is complete. It's the pitching side that they hope to do well with this weekend.
This is who they'll have to face today, and that stout A&M staff, the Friday night guy, Ryan Prager, who has a fastball slider changeup mix, and those numbers pretty sparkly, especially the 19 strikeouts to just 1 walk ratio through 2 starts.
Well, I mean, if you like all those strikeouts and only that 1 walk, every coach in the world would love this. And I'm going to tell you what, I'm excited to see this young man throw. It's been a while since I had a chance to watch him. This is going to be good stuff tonight.
Ryan Prager, the lefty, for his defense of Texas A&M against this Arizona State Sun Devil team. It's just the 2nd all-time meeting, and A&M anchored in the outfield by Jace Laviolette, one of the best players in the country all around, a projected #1 overall draft pick in next year's draft when he's eligible in 2025. Star-studded group, also a really solid catcher in the backstop, Jackson Appel, transfer from Penn, who's given them a nice addition to that battery, and a completely rebuilt pitching staff for head coach Jim Schlossnagle. We'll talk about that a lot today. That's really the theme here for the Aggies, right? We all know they can hit. It's all about the pitching. Can that take them to Omaha in 2024?
Well, I think they can hit, and I'm going to tell you what, Jim Schlossnagle can put a team together, and so they'll do well with it.
Meanwhile, Willie Bloomquist on the other side. This is year number 3 for him. The former Sun Devil was a Pac-12 Player of the Year in 1999, led the Sun Devils to Omaha. 63-58 as he tries to turn around a very proud program that he played for, and we are underway. Harris Williams starts this off, and we will see Nick McLean right away. He's in the 2-hole. The preseason All Pac-12 who has had a couple different hamate bone surgeries over the last 2 years. He'll be second up. Underway in the nightcap. 7:30 here local time. A little bit later than expected, but hey, that's college baseball for you. Thanks so much for hanging out with us on a Friday night from Arlington. 9-8 game to kick off the weekend. TCU walks off USC in 11 innings. So TCU keeps their unbeaten streak alive. Can A&M do the same? While a Pac-12 foe looking to make a big impression, trying to get their weekend off to a good start. It's 1-2 early to Harris Williams. Preseason All Pac-12 player, a transfer from San Francisco, had a really nice career for the Dons. As he takes a fastball just low, 2-2.
I'll tell you, if you don't like extra baseball, you wouldn't have enjoyed the last game we got. I love it. I mean, that's the more you and I get to do, the more we get to watch.
So far.
More heroes and more just, there was just so much emotion going back and forth. It was fun.
2-2. Well, and aside from just the actual extra inning part of it, we saw so many deep counts worked, and it was apparent from the first inning that on the USC front, very motivated to reverse a bad start to the year. TCU extremely motivated, playing in kind of a home game here just down the street from Fort Worth, and at least one batter in. Very good AB from Williams, although he swings very late at that 2-2 slider in the zone. Figure we'll see a lot of those quality ABs with the type of hitters on both sides tonight.
I think you're absolutely right, but I tell you what, he gets away with this little slider hanging up there just a little bit, kind of late recognizing it. I think he recognized elevation, thought maybe he could get to the middle of it, but wasn't able to.
The long-awaited season debut of this man, Nick McLean, takes a fastball high and outside. Had an OPS over 1,000 last year, but has always seemed to battle injuries. Injuries first couple of years for McLean. Questionable coming into the weekend, but got some live BP in. And he is ready to go, making his season debut for ASU. Boy, are they happy to have him back.
Oh, you got to know, too, hitting him in that 2 spot, trying to get him as many at-bats as he can get, but more than a qualified hitter. I mean, and again, injuries are so tough on you emotionally and physically.
Takes another ball, 3-0 to McLean. And it's that hamate bone in each wrist area he's had to have surgery on each of the past couple of years.
And what's crazy, doesn't serve any structural service to the hand or the wrist, but part of our anatomy, and when you hurt them, for a baseball hitter, it's 6 weeks of having to watch your teammates and you having to rehab and get through a surgery, and I mean, it's tough.
The 3-1 to McLean as we're just underway from the nightcap. And that's in there for strike 2, first full count. And also fascinating to see how Texas A&M handles this step up in class, to speak nothing negatively of Lamar, Wagner, Incarnate Word, or McNeese State, but they're not Arizona State. Check swing, and McLean held up, ball 4 as he works a walk. That's really the big question that a lot of people around the country have on A&M. How will they perform really in their first look against Power 5 competition? As you take a look at the head coach, Jim Schlossnagle.
Well, let me tell you what, that is an unbelievable baseball coach. He's a great mind. He's active. He is creative. He acts on his thoughts. He is analytic. I mean, everything that you want driving your program and teaching your kids how to play the game and lead your program in the right direction. That man right there is one of the best.
Swing and a miss by Ryan Campos, preseason All Pac-12 catcher. A career .372 hitter who was in the running for Pac-12 Player of the Year a season ago. Was off to a great start. Was a little bit banged up down the stretch, missed some time. And he fouls this one off. If you have a healthy Campos, if you have a healthy McLean in front of him, an Arizona State offense that is really, really dangerous. A group that was 4th in slugging last year in the 11-team Pac-12.
Arizona State's history, and you go back, way back, so many big leaguers, so many great players. that played in this program, and particularly a lot of offensive players and a lot of great big leaguers.
Ball here on 0-2. ASU and their alum Willie Bloomquist trying to get back to the College World Series. Haven't been there since 2010. And have missed the NCAA tournament each of the past 2 years. Had a really good campaign though last year, won 32 games. In there, a called strike 3. Campos watches the slider catch the outside of the zone.
I'll tell you what, if you're going to lay a slider right on the outer half and just clip the outer part of the plate, oh, that's a great pitch right there. Even if you try to swing at that, you're not going to be able to do much with it, but maybe foul it off or put it in play on the ground. But what a great pitch.
And the book too on Prager is it is a heavy fastball. That's what he's known for here. He gets a sharp ground ball into the shift from Jacob Tobias, played by Caden Kentz. To his first baseman, Ted Burton. And a good start for Ryan Prager, off and rolling in the nightcap from Globe Life Field.
Watch me. Watch me grapple, move, and pin. When I hit the mat, don't underestimate the grin. I've got state championships and medals to show, but it's about more than just winning. This you should know. Overcoming odds through therapy and care. The road was long, now opponents beware. Watch me. Game-changing sports medicine at Shriners Children's. The most amazing care anywhere.
Protecting what matters most is the mission that matters most. At Lockheed Martin, we know today's threats come from behind, above, and below, and we make sure those who serve stay ahead of them by connecting platforms necessary to dominate every domain across air, land, sea, space, and cyber, using technologies that protect in the same moment they detect. The mission is a safer, more secure world. Our promise is to help make it happen.
Globe Life Field is your home for college baseball with 3 full weekends of action starting February 16th at the home of the Texas Rangers. It all starts with the Shriners Children's College Showdown presented by Kubota, featuring Baylor, Texas Tech, Oklahoma, Oregon, Tennessee, and Nebraska. Next is the Kubota College Baseball Series with Arkansas, Oklahoma State, Michigan, and Oregon State in Weekend 2, and TCU, Texas A&M, Arizona State, and USC for Weekend 3. To get tickets and learn more, visit globelifefield.com/collegebaseball.
Back at Globe Life Field as we look at all those power numbers. 313, your lowest average in the Texas A&M lineup. 8-0 through 8 games, 80 runs scored combined. And that's despite Ty A&M having to replace 7 hitters in the lineup from last year, including a Golden Spike semifinalist in Hunter Haas at shortstop. They just reload this year, and they are as dangerous as ever. Anchored by Jason Laviolette, SEC All-Freshman team last year, and a preseason first-team All-SEC outfielder, as they will face Thomas Burns, the talented freshman from Hortonville, Wisconsin. A big challenge no matter who you are, and certainly the case for Burns. True freshman who they love his moxie on the mound. Now he faces A&M. Tough order tonight.
Yeah, A&M in a big league ballpark. I mean, there's a lot to this. I mean, and I'm so anxious to watch this young man. They went on and on about his poise and his competitiveness, and I mean, it's just going to be exciting to see him go out there and go after what is a really good A&M lineup.
This is Gavin Grahovac to start things off. From Orange, California, rated the top freshman coming into the SEC this year. Not easy to get that moniker at the start of the year from D1 baseball. Called strike in there as we are underway after Ryan Prager worked around a 1-out walk in the first. Had a couple strikeouts. Now it's Grahovac and Texas A&M at the plate against Thomas Burns, but freshman's showing good stuff so far. Here he just misses. Count goes to just in there. Count goes to 1-2, but through his 2 starts, just 3 earned allowed in 9 1/3 combined for Burns.
It's a 90, 91, 92 mile an hour fastball. If he's able to get it going, I wouldn't be shocked if by the 2nd, 3rd inning that velo starts to go up just a little bit as he starts to relax a little bit and that arm starts to swing a little bit freer.
Fouled off on 2-2 to Grahovac. It also just shows you too the sort of talent in today's college baseball right away. You get freshman versus freshman.
How about that?
Out of the box. I mean, these guys don't look like it whatsoever. I mean, Burns even has the facial hair already.
Yeah, they both do.
These are no young pups being thrown into the fire. They're ready to go. And that's high and outside. That was ball 4 after that previous foul was actually the 3-2 foul there. So ball 4 to put Grahovac aboard, and we take a look at the Arizona State defense. And a really solid middle infield. They love what they have in Steven Andina, who flashes with big-time defensive chops. Florida International transfer, along with Ethan Mendoza, freshman in middle infield. So a really unique setup there with the freshman-senior combo up the middle for ASU. And Ryan Campos, one of the best catchers, maybe in the entire West Coast, Ty, not just Pac-12. He's a really good force behind the plate. As Laviolette fouls it off, and anytime this man comes to the plate, you have to be at attention.
Well, you do, and you got to make quality pitches. I mean, obviously, he'll make you pay with a mistake. Already with 6 homers, and I had a chance to watch this young man early last year, and he was pretty good. You could see that he was going to be really good, and then I got to see him later in the year, and he was a different-looking man at the plate. I mean, his power, his direct contact, his pitch selection, all of them just showed you a really mature young hitter a year ago.
Fastball changed there, going outside. You see fastball low 90s, change in the low 80s for Burns. Will also throw in a curve, which still has some work to do. That's the message from the coaching staff, what sort of things they want to see improvement on. Here he misses upstairs. 2-1, and it's that classic balance, right? How do you pitch without being timid, but without leaving something out over the plate that can be attacked?
Yep, you've always got to attack. You got 9 defenders, and so you got to do your best to make quality pitches on the edges and try to keep them disruptive. Try to keep the hitter's timing disruptive. That's the best way to do it. Easier said than done. And certainly with a power hitter like Laviolette in the batter's box right now, if you make a mistake in the middle, he doesn't miss many.
A pretty good pitch there on 2-1, right on the outside edge. So far, you mentioned the 6 homers, 18 RBI for Laviolette, hitting .433. Hard to believe he was ever struggling, but he was as a freshman, sub 200 going into SEC play. Pops this one foul on 2-2, so it's been a heavy dose of off speed so far. Burns' first approach on Laviolette.
You know, one of the things that's impressive, and this stat means more to me, probably, you know, a lot of the viewers, but the free base for what A&M has done, and that 70 mark of free bases, meaning base on balls, hit batsmen, to number of strikeout, your ratio, anytime your strikeouts are lower than your free base, that means you're having long at-bats. That means you know your strike zone and being able to hit pitches that you can handle.
Okay. 2-2 comes inside, and the catcher Campos couldn't find it. Wild pitch as Grahovac goes to second. And A&M aggressive early. Sort of a tough break there for Campos since he was able to block, just couldn't find the ball.
Yeah, it wasn't a reading on in the dirt. It did go to the dirt, but once he turned, Grahovac was able to get out, look, stopped, hesitated, went back visually, and was able to see it got away and get to second base on a wild pitch.
The 3-2. Missed outside. It's back-to-back walks to start the day for A&M.
And here we go with the free base. You know, these guys that A&M, they're so good at, they know the strike zone. They don't chase, they don't expand, they don't put themselves into bad hitters counts because they understand what they can control, the hitting-wise, what they're looking for, and they work on it every day.
You'll see a lot of this for A&M. Tough to pitch really tightly to the first couple of guys in the order, and now it allows Braden Montgomery to come up with ducks on the pond, hitting .393. 3 homers and 12 driven in his own right. And he's had a lot of those opportunities with runners on base. He's cashed in. Big swing on 0-1 as he fouls it straight back.
Well, he's going to have guys on in front of him because they take so many walks.
Exactly.
I mean, that's just the way it is. I mean, they put so much pressure on you with their pitch selection. It was fun to listen to Coach Schlossnagle talk about. They go all the way back to the fall with their plate discipline, what you can swing at, BP, everything they drill work, to hit pitches, swing at pitches that you can get good swings at.
Montgomery fouls off the 0-2. I think one of his lines to us when we talked to Coach Schlossnagle during the week was, if it's a pitch in the zone and you don't swing, I'm going to say something. If it's a pitch out of the zone and you're swinging, I will say something. And pretty simple when you think about it that way. Other than that, that's really where it all starts on the hitting approach for A&M. He lets him take it from there. As the 0-2 blistered into the gap in left center, way back and gone! Montgomery, a 3-run bomb to start the scoring.
Well, what a beautiful at bat. He gets him in the count. You can see his approach was middle. That ball lands in the middle. And you're talking about driving it to the 410, one of the deepest part of the park, opposite field, on a line. I mean, this just shows you the type of potential power, not potential, the type of power this young man has. Look at this swing. Oh, he gets those hands inside, gets behind every piece of it. That ball's on a line for a home run to that side of the park and to that deep of the park.
Between Montgomery and Laviolette, 4 homers for Montgomery, now 6 for Laviolette, 10 combined. And that one 109.5 miles an hour off the bat. A stinger that just kept rising until the last second. 3-0 just like that. That is Aggie baseball in a nutshell.
Yep, 2 walks and a homer. But long at bats. Take what the pitcher gives you. If he's not going to come into the strike zone, take your walk, take your 90 feet, go to first base, move to second, and then let the power get after you right behind you.
Yeah, tough start for the freshman. Burns throws a ball on 0-2 to Hayden Schott, and they get touched up right out of the chute. Now really for the coaching staff, they'll see what you're made of here. How do you bounce back from that as the fastball misses outside?
It's part of the process. If you're going to play this game, you're going to have moments where you give up walks, even though they're not big misses. They were little misses. And then you get hit, a guy who's a really, really good hitter, comes up, hits a homer, and once in a while part of the game. It's what you do afterwards, in your growth. And again, this is one of those moments for Burns to try to settle back in, keep making pitches. One of the hardest things is to remind a young guy, you got to stay aggressive. You've got to be able to stay aggressive and after your command.
Another foul back, staying alive. And what we've seen early from the top of this A&M order is just how hard it is to get outs easily. I mean, even if you're getting out, you're going to have to work for it.
You just can't live on the edge and off the edge and trying to make those perfect pitches against these guys. They understand their strike zone too well.
3 of the first 4 batters run full counts against Thomas Burns, who through his first 2 starts, opponents hitting just 156 off of him. Here it's Hayden Schott, the 3-2. Called strike 3. Pretty curveball from Burns, and he has his first out.
He does a good job after the homer, coming back with 2 fastballs to get ahead, and then he goes to a 3-2 count with him, goes to a backdoor breaker to get him looking for a punch out in the first out in the inning. A good pitch.
Brings up Ted Burton for the first time. 9 for 20 so far, highest average on the team as he takes a called strike. Kriskowski calling those balls and strikes back there. Casey Mosier at first, Chris Griffin at second. John Wolf rounds out the umpiring crew. Swing and a miss going to the slider. You see so many freshmen too. They come into the college game and they are so reliant, Ty, on that fastball. And the quicker you can see confidence in the off speed, the better.
Well, you're going to have secondary at this level. There's no question about it.
Nice swing and a miss there. 3-pitch K for Burns, trying to recover after the 3-run homer.
Now that's a great looking breaker right there. The breaker before it was a little harder. This one he even backs up and throws a little bit softer, takes about 1.5 feet off of it, gets him out front for the swing miss.
Brings up Jackson Appel, the Penn grad transfer. He's able to hit from both sides of the plate, switch hitter. Takes a ball. Grew up in Houston, but went the Ivy League route. As it's 2-0 to Appel. You don't see that combo all that often, even in the transfer portal era. The old Penn to Texas A&M duo, but Appel's pulled it off. And has really been a nice ad for them as a catcher every day.
If you think about it, you go and you get an Ivy League degree, undergrad. Then you go get a graduate degree at one of the finest institutions academically in the great state of Texas. And so, I mean, there's a lot to that.
Draws the free pass. And you look at it now, all those numbers A&M prides himself on, the free bases. They have drawn 3 of those this inning, and it might not be in College Station, but anytime you're giving up 3 passes, yeah, there you go. The ball 4 chance start. And it doesn't matter if you're from Texas, if you're from Wisconsin like Thomas Burns is. You've seen the videos.
Oh,
if you're
it's
a young
real.
Pitcher.
Oh, it's real. I've lived it personally myself. So having coached against the Aggies in College Station, what a fan base.
And he finds the zone there for a strike. Appel, the 3rd walk of the inning. Game started with a couple walks in the spot of the first. Then Braden Montgomery's 4th homer of the year. And now Caden Sorrell, yet another guy with good numbers, although he hasn't played much this year. Just his 6th AB of the season. And fastball runs outside, 1-1.
Arizona State is opting with Tobias at first base and Appel, the runner, going to play behind him, try to have a little bit more defensive coverage.
Ooh, ball gets away.
And he forgot to tell him.
And that allows Appel to go to second. Yeah, just a bizarre play there on the pickoff. And what's been a very shaky first inning on the mound.
That might be what you would call youthful mistake. Now you see him taking a deep breath. It's one of those things you got to take a deep breath and move on. But I was just explaining, they moved the first baseman behind him, the runner, to create a little more coverage. And it's something you communicate with the pitcher. And somewhere there was obviously a breakdown in communication, or he just forgot one or the other.
Puts another runner in scoring position with Sorrell waving and missing. Goes over the top of a changeup. Another freshman battle. Sorrell came in at a really impressive fall. And anytime you are a freshman on an SEC team like A&M and you are getting early season ABs, that says something about your game. The 1-2 to Sorrell. Punched foul.
The changeup, the pitch before, the 90-mile-an-hour fastball he just threw, that was the best changeup he's thrown tonight. That ball had a little high to it, about 8 to 10 miles an hour off his fastball, which is what you want. Well, I mean, it got right in that hitting area and disappeared.
Up high on 1-2. 7th man to hit this inning for A&M. Just the 1 hit, but it was the 3-run homer for Montgomery. As Ryan Campos looks out at his young pitcher, Thomas Burns. Foul tip, that is controlled. Caught for strike 3 by Campos. Burns ends up with 3 strikeouts, but the big one was the blast. Braden Montgomery, 109.5 miles an hour off the bat. A scorcher to left center, and A&M strikes first with a 3-0 lead after 1. You couldn't ask for a much better start than what Texas A&M has done through 8 games. 372 on the average. ERA sub-1. Opponent batting average 170. They're doing it all. Offense, defense for Coach Jim Schlossnagle in his 3rd year now at A&M after a great run for 18 years at TCU. Just west of here in Fort Worth. And A&M, they're coming off a 7-inning run rule beatdown to Lamar on Tuesday in the midweek. They scored 40 runs in 22 half innings at bat against Wagner over the weekend. Everything clicking right now for the Aggies.
Man, those stats are unbelievable. And you were part of the phone call, I think, when we were talking to the coach. Yeah, you were. And I remember I asked Jim, I was like, of all the years that, and I've competed against him a long time, I was like, these numbers, I mean, it's just, have you ever started out like this? And obviously the answer was no. I mean, from a statistical, even though he's had so many teams that have gone to Omaha, but when you look at the analytic value of it, it tells you their personality as a hitting team, and then certainly the personality they want to be on the mound as well with a sub-1 ERA.
I think a lot of people are sort of looking at it as, okay, we figured A&M would be a really good team, but let's see them do it against a Power 5 competition. And this is why, come out of this weekend looking really good. Start this inning with a foul off by Kevin Karstetter. Maybe that hype train goes to the next level here for A&M as all of a sudden SEC play and just around the corner here for both A&M and Pac-12 play for ASU.
Oh, that's true, and you're still trying to discover your lineup, you know, the mixture of it, the still positions, and, you know, your bullpen. I mean, there's a lot of things in the 3rd weekend that you're still trying to discover. And often you're doing it all the way in mid-March, you know, still trying to. Then mid-March, if you don't have any injuries, you start to kind of get into a regularity with your lineup and your bullpen and different things, as long as you stay injury-free.
1-1 to Karstetter in there for a called strike. Back to the slider for Ryan Prager in his 2nd inning of work. That's the one thing the Aggie pitchers have had the benefit of. They've been pitching from ahead a lot of times. You can let it fly, be aggressive. Little half swing. That's out in front of the plate, and a 3rd strikeout already for Prager to get his first 4 outs.
Well, the velo is good, right? It's 91, 92. It's got angle to it. It's got a little, you know, wiggle at the end of it. But this pitch right here, he attacks that slider so hard that when it comes out of the hand of those right-handed and left-handed hitters, it starts in that hitting area or tunnel that they're used to looking at. And I mean, it's got a really hard break to it.
First pitch fouled off by Jackson. It's easy to see why when you think about that pitch breakdown, Ty, how you get a guy with 22 Ks through 13 innings now in the season. And when you pair it with the command, that's the thing we often see lacking at the collegiate level. Command is so good. 2 walks in that span. Swing and a miss on 0-1.
Yeah, and Ben, you could go back to the 3-1 pitch that he threw to Nick McLean. He threw him a 3-1 slider for a strike. So that tells you the confidence he has in that pitch.
Aggies with a big infield shift now with an 0-2 count to Isaiah Jackson. 3 infielders on the right side of second base. He slices one the other way. Interesting to see the 2-strike shift that demonstrative for A&M.
Well, that tells you a little bit that the book tells you, their analytics says, as you can see right now, you got 4 defenders, you know, starting from shortstop over to first base. It tells you the analytics about he'll on breakers, he'll pull over or pull the ball on the ground, not necessarily the air, but on the ground.
Trying to buzz him inside. Lays off the 0-2. But a really sharp start for Ryan Prager. This is A&M's first trip to Globe Life Field. Just the 2nd ever game against the Arizona State Sun Devil program. And right on cue, chop to the right side like you were talking about, Ty. It's like you coached or something and know how to do a scout.
Well, they have the analytics to back it up, and they've got the pitching plan. So what they're trying to tell the hitter is, we're going to dare you to try to hit one on the ground the other way, which sometimes for guys who have pull tendencies, they'll start to slow their barrel down. So in order for him to keep his barrel sped up, a lot of times, not every time, a lot of times, he'll continue that pathway of pulling the ball onto the right side on the ground.
1-2 coming to Isaiah Jackson. Just missed. Good pitch on the slider.
He commands that slider like he commands his fastball. I mean, he did. This was a purpose pitch. He wanted this pitch off the edge to try to get him to chase it and swing.
Back up the middle toward that shift. It's Grahovac, the third baseman, who makes the throw.
Well, that is a 5-3 from the shortstop.
Actually, you know what, they kept.
They did. They sure did.
So you know it all worked.
That's right. No, you're right. And the reason for that is you like to keep the guy who plays short in his position the most, and you move the third baseman over. But the reality of it is they know by making those types of pitches that there's a lot of ground balls that are going to be hit to the middle, to the right side with 2 strikes.
And a called strike now to Mendoza. Really strong start, not only today for Ryan Prager, but the season. And he had to come off the adversity he was facing off of Tommy John surgery. But the timing of that actually worked really well, Coach Schlossnagle told us. Count 1-1 here to Mendoza, where based on when it happened in the year, he got the full 15-month rehab. They didn't have to rush him back for the start of the year, so they've been able to ease him in, and they really like the progress he's made. They feel great about where he's at. And he gets ahead in the count 1-2.
Well, that's a great reminder right there that 90-plus fastball that he can go extension side to, meaning he can carry that ball a little bit longer going to the third base side of home plate. But you're right. He got the amount of time it takes to go slow, build everything up instead of hurried.
Smack to the right side, long run. It's Sorrell makes a brilliant play in the field.
Oh, wow.
Some highway robbery in right center. A&M doing it all. They can hit, they can pitch, they can flash the leather. And Caden Sorrell takes extra bases away from Ethan Mendoza. What a play to end the top of the second. A good amount of Arizona State fans making the trip from Tempe. Sun Devils and Aggies tonight, as we're pleased to be joined by head coach of the Sun Devils, Willie Bloomquist, joins us right now. Your young starting pitcher, big moment for him. Coach and Thomas Burns, what would you like to see him do to get himself into this game here after a tough first inning?
Well, settle in. He's capable of it. I think he got a little sped up there in the first and walked the first couple guys, let that get in his head a little bit, but he'll settle in fine. Tommy's a tough kid. He should be just fine.
Hey, Willie Ty Harrington, I got to ask you, of course, the history of the program there at Arizona State, you know well. How far away or how close are you guys getting to what it's been in the past in the direction? Because obviously you're the guy that's going to get it there. But if you're gauging how far away or how close you are.
Well, I mean, I like the direction we're going. We're getting players in here that are, of the caliber that it should be. And, we've had good players here in the past, even though the results from a team standpoint haven't been there, the past decade or so. But we've had great players, Spencer Torkelson, Hunter Bishop, Alika Williams, first rounders. So we've had great players here. It's just a matter of putting it together. And hey, the landscape of college baseball is getting tougher and tougher every year. So it's it's hard to say, but I like the direction we're going.
Well, on that front, how valuable is it for you guys to come out here, face really good competition? You'll get 3 games against top 7 teams in the country this weekend.
Well, I think that was the plan, coming down here and giving our kids a chance to experience an environment that's away from home. It's a big league environment, of course, and playing against 2 top 10 programs, it's going to battle test us, and it understands, points the direction to our kids of where we got to get to. And if we're there and can compete with these guys, great. If we're not, then we got to understand where we have to get to in order to be a top 10 team.
Sure thing. Coach, thanks for stopping by. We'll let you get back to it.
You bet.
And thanks to Willie Boomquist. We'll have Jim Schlossnagle coming up in a little bit. Appreciate all the coaches taking time to speak with us throughout the weekend. And it's a 2-2 count to Ali Camarillo starting this bottom of the second for A&M. See how Thomas Burns responds. Although, the response is pretty good, Ty, after the 3-run homer, 3 punch-outs, working around a walk. And they love the moxie he pitches with. 2-2 outside.
Yeah, I think there's a little bit of body language difference after they gave up the homer. He got a little more, hey, give me the ball. I want to get back at it. I want to get back at it again. And then, as you mentioned, he ended up striking out the side and got a little bit more aggressive.
And misses, though, on 3-2. So some of those command issues that plagued Burns led to the 3-run homer in the first inning. Back here, and it's another leadoff base runner for A&M with Caden Kent, the number 9 hole hitter, due up.
The second pitch, I think, in that round of pitches was a pitch. It was a slider, kind of just at the top of the strike zone or above it. But a lot of college hitters were going to swing at it, and they didn't. And it just shows their recognition of the strike zone.
And Thomas Burns from the small town of Hortonville, Wisconsin, northern part of the state. Town of only about 3,000. Just misses inside. And as someone, Ty, who is from Wisconsin and knows how hard it can be, guys don't get recruited all that often from the state to outside the Big Ten. I asked Coach Bloomquist this week, how'd you find him? And he said, as a lot of smart coaches do, I got a guy. I pop up here to center field. Lazy fly ball off the bat at Kent as Jackson camps under it and makes the first out. But what he really loved, they flew up there, watched him at a tournament. They loved that he was a hockey player in high school and was also just kind of groomed to be a starter too. He was always in that sort of role at Hortonville High School in Wisconsin. And this is now also the first true season where Coach Bloomquist, now in his 3rd year as a head coach, has been able to grow these freshman arms right from the start. And he loves that he can anchor it around a guy like Thomas Burns.
The hockey part of it tells you he's athletic. Also tells you he's tough. I mean, I'll tell you what, because I've never played hockey, but when you watch it, I mean, that guys are getting bumped around, and I mean, that's a tough person type sport, or appears that way to me. And similar to football. I mean, in football, in the great state of Texas, it's a huge deal. You get hit, you got 25 seconds to get it cleared off and get ready to go to the next play. And baseball coaches like that too. They like that kind of mentality.
So look at the miss here by Grahovac. And he touched 96 in the fall with that fastball. He's the first true freshman for ASU to start on opening night since 2006 for the Sun Devils. And he came out, you'd probably think, all right, that's a lot to ask. Well, went 5 innings, gave up 1 run on 1 hit and 7 strikeouts against Santa Clara in his first appearance. The 0-1 to Grahovac. Little tapper foul, and it's 0-2.
He was holding that ball just a little bit longer, and what that does, that's a little bit of pressure on the base runner to sit there, and you're basically kind of wait for him to see if he comes up out of his base or his legs just a little bit to try to start the steal. If he is, it just makes those guys have to stand in there a little bit longer.
Another throw over to first, which I would imagine throughout the course of the year, a strategy a lot of teams go with when they are facing A&M. He's trying to break up the rhythm a little bit of guys at the plate. Outside on 0-2 looked like more of a pitch out there. You cannot overstate enough, Ty, the difference too when you think about guys throughout the Aggie order like a Jaslav Violetu's on deck. You're facing him with 2 out, maybe a guy in first versus 2 on 1 out. Just it feels massive when he comes to the plate. And another 2-strike offering spoiled foul.
tell you what, they're making him throw a lot of pitches early in this game. I mean, now we're only in the second, bottom of the second, and they're back up to the top of the order, but a lot of pitches burned.
Already over 50 pitches for Thomas Burns. As this goes to 2-2. You know, he got through that first outing, 5 innings and 64 pitches. Unbelievably efficient in your first ever outing. Worked him up to 91 last time out. Went 4 1/3, gave up 2 runs on 4 hits. Did strike out 8 against Ohio State. But the command has been super impressive. 2 walks to 15 Ks for a true freshman.
Well, I think that's why they were and should be excited about why he's out there tonight and facing a team that, you know, we've talked about it already over and over, how well they know their strike zone, and they just don't expand their zone early in counts. They're willing to stand in there until they get a pitch they can really get a good swing at. You know, you brought this up in game 1. A lot of West Coast players, high school players in all these programs. I mean, obviously the Pac-12 programs, it's, you know, geographically, but for TCU and for A&M.
A foul tip, that's caught by Campos, and a strikeout. Yeah, 4 strikeouts now, Ty.
Well, it's not about the stuff. We're watching it. It's good stuff. It's everything it was billed out to be. You see this, he gets that ball away from him. Not able to foul it off far enough out of his glove, but that's a tough pitch on those hitters on that outer half of the plate. I mean, the stuff is real.
Laviolette, big swing on the first pitch and pops it foul. That gets into the seats. I think it's a good point. You were talking about the whole comp of where teams, you know, get their players from now, and it's a whole lot different, I would imagine, than when you were coming through the ranks.
Oh, there's no question. I mean, it just, you know, the travel part of it with the select teams, and, you know, you can go to certain destinations. You know, you can go to Atlanta, Georgia, and go see every team from around the country. You can go to Dallas, Texas, and see teams from all over the country. You can go out to the West Coast, you know, and see just everybody. I mean, it just, and so that makes your recruiting base huge.
Delayed steal and a low throw. It skips short on Andina. Camarillo going late there, and Campos unable to make the play. Runner in scoring position now for Laviolette.
Yeah, a great delay steal. And what that means is you're going to shuffle out. You'll see him stop, hesitate. They were there in time, just wasn't able to come up with the right throw to throw him out.
That's the whole thought too, right? Catcher's not necessarily expecting it, so.
Well, the infielders too.
And that, yeah, and it can become a snap throw that's not on target, and that's all you need to steal the base. Tap foul by Laviolette, count going to 1-2.
Yeah, and you look at as a coach, you look at the infielders, and if they're deep and/or sometimes in a shift where they're away from the bag a long ways, and/or they're not breaking towards the bag after every pitch, you'll put the delay on.
As Willie Bloomquist looks on at a tremendous major league career after he led Arizona State to the College World Series. Inside on 1-2. 92 on that pitch.
I'll tell you what, he got after that fastball right there, trying to get in there, trying to see if Laviolette was looking for something soft like a breaker or a changeup. Just wasn't able to connect with the inside part of the plate.
And that is a time violation. Clock ran out on Thomas Burns, and so the count runs full 3-2. You see him looking around to try to find where that pitch clock is. And it had gone dark. Willie Bloomquist, I think, was asking the same thing, but now it resets. First time violation of this weekend's games. The 3-2 popped up. Again, slicing toward that ASU dugout. Carstetter, oh, he dropped it. Maybe overran the ball a little bit. That's a tough break when you have a chance to retire Laviolette. You can't do it.
Well, that's exactly right, Ben. I mean, obviously he knew he needed to catch that ball. You're taught to go over towards, get arm's length away. See him stick his hand up, and he overran it. Still had a chance to reach up there and just catch it kind of gently, just let that thing fall into your glove. But, well, I mean, look, you're right. I mean, it's dangerous anytime, right, that happens. But with Laviolette in the box and the guy on deck, Montgomery coming right behind him.
And Montgomery is the guy who just hit a 3-run homer last time up. A new lease on life for Jace Laviolette, hitting a cool .433 to start the year. And takes ball 4. Inning continues. Last time Montgomery came up, there were 2 on, and he did this.
My goodness, that is such a pretty swing. Did you see how that ball was going at an angle when it went out? Not coming down, but going at an angle across the top of the fence. That just shows you how hard that ball was hit. Almost like a mid-rise line drive. But, I mean, he got right in behind that slider and drove it.
Oh, and he gets plunked now. Oh, got him right in the middle of the back as it loads the bases.
Well, I don't think that's intentional. I mean, you hear a lot of different things from the crowd and all the above. Yeah, he was set up in. He was trying to drive that fastball in there, and it appears it just got away from him.
You certainly wouldn't expect it at this stage in the game, and it gets him right on that number 6. And now we'll get a visit out to the mound here. Now, a tough break for Burns, and your fielders let you down. Should have been out of the inning. Now it's bases loaded here, and you have to face Hayden Schott, cleanup hitter. A trip to the mound here from Sam Peraza, 3rd-year pitching coach, who was a great player at San Diego State, won a Mountain West title there with the Aztecs, and was last the pitching coach at his alma mater. So he comes over trying to settle down Burns. Is it just overthrowing right now, Ty? Is that what you're seeing?
Yes, he's. You know, when you're really good, your delivery's smooth and ball's coming out easy. You're able to sync it up and connect where you're trying to place the ball and throw the ball. And it's a lot going on out there. I mean, the fly ball probably got him sped up, and he's thinking, man, I got to really get after it. Well, then you want to try to go throw a ball in to Montgomery, fastball in. You don't want to make a mistake and miss in the middle of the plate. And I just maybe overreacting a little bit with a baseball in his hand right now. A couple deep breaths. Go back to something you've done before, a thought process, because you're one pitch away from getting out of it.
So now bases loaded here. Hayden Schott takes a first pitch strike. Camarillo at 3rd, Laviolette at 2nd, Montgomery at 1st.
A lot of times as a pitcher right here, you got to tell yourself, dial up your best one. You've done it before. Dial up your best fastball. Dial up your best breaker, whatever it is.
Fly ball to left, but Williams comes in on it and makes the catch. Good pitch executed by Thomas Burns as he gets out of the jam. 3rd inning from Globe Life Field coming up next. 3-0 lead for Texas A&M as we go to the third, and head coach Jim Schlossnagle kind enough to give us a few minutes right now. Coach Ryan Prager back out there, third inning on the mound. He's been really good so far. What has your new pitching coach Max Weiner meant to the program here coming in year number 1?
He's done a great job so far. Just want these guys to throw strikes. Couldn't last year. We could have had a whole heck of a lot better season if we'd have thrown more strikes. And so, that's the name of the game, is throw the ball over the plate.
Jim, Ty, look, again, early this week we talked about your free base strikeout ratio and what you guys do at the plate. You talked about how hard y'all work on pitch selection tonight already, 4 and 5 walks and free bases, and then the 3-run homer. It's so impressive to listen to you guys talk about how hard y'all work at that.
Yeah, I mean, the premise is swing at the strikes and take the balls, right? And sounds simple, but it's really hard to do. And every single thing we do evolves around that. And you can't be afraid to hit with 2 strikes. So we're going to strike out some because we're in deep counts. But when you do swing, if you control the strike zone and then you have big, strong players, as a former pitcher, that's pretty scary to pitch to.
And you think about this tournament in general, your former team, TCU, also part of it. Your guys' first trip ever to Globe Life got to be pretty special here, all the A&M fans making the trip up from College Station.
Yeah, well, there's a lot of them here in Dallas-Fort Worth. The Aggies are everywhere, buddy.
They are.
The 12th man shows up wherever we play, but certainly when we come up here or big cities like Houston or Tuesday night in Austin, there'll be a few there on
just
Tuesday
a couple.
night.
Coach, appreciate the time.
All
We'll
right.
catch up with you
All
later
right,
this
guys.
weekend.
Jim,
good luck.
3-0 lead here for A&M. That's a fair point.
Well, yeah, the Aggie fan base is unbelievable. I mean, you could go play this in Iceland and they're going to go. I mean, that's just how they are. I mean, they love their athletics. They love their university. They love the tradition, everything that goes with it, to go to school there. And if you say they're going to play a sport or play something somewhere that the Aggies are involved, they're going to show up. They're going to be there.
As a look at all the fans in the house, we expect even more tomorrow night. A&M will play the early game tomorrow against USC. Then it's Arizona State TCU in the nightcap. Foul back on 2-2. A good battle to start this third inning for Brandon Compton. It's Compton, Andina, and then the top of the order. With Ryan Prager back out there, and really feels like the success for A&M will hinge on that pitching this year. They brought Weiner in from the Mariners organization in Major League Baseball. There's a swing and a miss on 2-2, and early returns, Coach Schloss told us about how he feels Weiner's impacted the team, and Ryan Prager's a great example of that. Has been absolutely tremendous through his first 2 starts, and that's continued tonight.
How fun was it to listen to Coach Schlossnagle talk about with Weiner how the analytics and the science of the baseball and throwing a baseball and how you do it and spin rates and all that, and how important it is to him, but how he was able to simplify it and communicate it with his pitchers.
Showing bunts and an offer by Andina.
I mean, it's easy to talk over a lot of people's head when you start talking about the science of pitching and throwing a baseball and spin rates and how do you get the ball to break in a more of a downward motion as opposed to a flatter motion. And I mean, there's a lot to it, right? You could spend time, hours on it if you understand it. But if you can't communicate it, then they can't go out and execute it and work on it. And it was really refreshing to hear Jim talk about it.
That hits Andina running inside, and oh no, they will call him back.
This is going to get They're going to get Willie out of the dugout, and we'll get a chance to see the replay. Now, you don't have to get out of the way of one if it's in your box and in, but you can't lean out and try to get hit by one. Well, I think they're going to take a look at this. Now, do you see that left elbow? Even though he turned in, okay? Watch this right here. As he turns in as you're taught, watch the left elbow. Does it stay out there just a little bit with that pad on it, and is it going to be enough? Now, granted, he did what you're taught. Turn in so that if you get hit in the back or in the back of the shoulder, which is to protect yourself. But what they're going to look for, and whether they decide he did or he didn't, is going to be up to the umpire, is whether that left elbow, and you can watch that left elbow pad, did it stick out just a little bit in the lane of where that ball was pitched to act like you're trying to get hit. It'll go slow motion. Unbelievable camera work right here. Watch, does it come out?
Doesn't it kind of just seem stationary more than anything, Ty? Like he doesn't. So it kind of looked that way because
he didn't tuck his. Okay, so he didn't tuck his elbow in, right? So when you turn in, if you're really not trying to get it, you're going to pull those elbows in. But they've got to decide: did he flare the elbow out in the path of the baseball to get hit?
Yep. That's where it looks weird, because if the rest of your body's moving but you keep the elbow stationary, it's automatically going to look like you're flailing that elbow out. If I'm Willie Bloomquist, that's my case.
Yeah, absolutely, it's your case, because that's what you teach too. That's what, as an offensive coach, that's what you teach. I think that they're going to look at this and keep him there, and that elbow. I think they're going to say that stuck out, flamed out there just a little bit.
We'll make the count 1-2 then on Andina, and that is the call. So Andina is brought back into the box.
I think nowadays, when the replay sign with both hands on the ear, I think you could go to a foreign country and do that. People still would know what it is now. Everybody seems to know in baseball what it is, universally.
Now we'll get Coach Bloomquist fired up, though. And now a swing and a miss. That's hung on to, and it's a 5th strikeout for Prager as Andina is down on strikes.
Man, I tell you what, that breaker, that slider, he's got so much command of it. And you know what else he does with that slider? He'll throw you one a little bit softer, that's got a little bit bigger break, a little more depth, and then he throws that harder one and it gets you sped up with it. It's 2 different types of sliders.
And you really worked on shortening the breaking ball. That's what we were told with the new pitching coach brought in, Max Weiner. What does that mean when you're talking about shortening the breaking ball?
It's harder and tighter, so your spin rate isn't as big. You're trying to make it so you offset your hand smaller, not as big on the baseball, and turn it as much. It allows the break to be smaller so they can throw more for strikes like he just did. And then it allows you to use that bigger one to go after him with a sweeping breaker to go after him for strikeouts.
Punch to the right side. Well, whatever he's doing, it's working. Caden Kent makes the throw. A 1-2-3 inning. Ryan Prager has retired the last 8 on the Texas A&M mound. And a team that went to the postseason, had a good battle in that Stanford Regional. Won the first 2 games, but ended up losing by a combined 20-6 final 2 games against Stanford. And Coach Schloss went out, hired a new pitching coach, Max Weiner, who's been amazing for him so far. And that's really been the difference for A&M. They issued the most walks in team history last year. That he said, simply put, just had to be better. They also brought in a player they lost to in that Stanford Regional, Braden Montgomery, who has the 3-run homer tonight to give A&M that early lead. And how good has Montgomery's addition been in the clubhouse?
Oh, that'll make you a better team too. And I'll tell you, I had a chance to watch that young man for 2 years. I went out to the Stanford Regional and my old University of Texas State was playing out there in the regional, and Montgomery was a freshman that year, and then obviously paid attention when A&M was out there, and then Texas went out there, you know, for the super regional. Montgomery was on that team, and so I would tell you this, from seeing him from his freshman year till he is today, the way he stands in the box, his approach is better today than what it was for sure his freshman year and even last year, but he's even more physical. And you're right when, you know, Coach Schlossnagle talked about his presence in the locker room, how he's just immediately, everybody magnetized to him, and he helped himself into the team and the fabric of the team, and made himself accessible as a teammate. And I'll tell you, he's a good player.
This is what happened last pitch. Foul ball to the mask of Chris Koski.
Those things are just, they're no fun.
As Ted Burton gets rung up. Nice pitch on the curveball from Thomas Burns. He's tried to settle down a scratchy couple innings to start things off, but Burns got a flyout with the bases loaded last inning and gets the punch out here.
Well, that breaker's late. What I mean by that, they don't recognize spin till it's almost on top of them, and it's a really sharp, hard break to it. Hard for those hitters to recognize it.
Jackson Appel digs in, had a walk back in the first. Pretty good start to his Aggie career after growing up in Houston. Went the Ivy League route, going to Penn, and hit .295 last year. 4 homers, 40 driven in for the Quakers out of the Ivy League. He's ahead to count 2-0. Gets jammed on this one. Comebacker to the mound. As the flip is just in time from Burns.
Well, he does exactly what your pitching coach is going to teach you to do on a ground ball that's hit back to you. Instead of throwing it overhand, which happened in game 1 today, which he had to, right, with that high chop, remember, in the 9th inning. If you can field that thing in time, take 3-4 steps, start running at the first baseman and underhand it. That way you don't throw it over the first baseman's head.
Burns trusting himself. He could get that underhand toss from the mound, essentially. But he got it there, and a chance for a clean inning. You don't get many of those against Texas A&M. First 2 batters retired as Caden Sorrell digs in. Sorrell spanks one the other way. That has Williams on his horse. Still going back. It's gone! Caden Sorrell makes it 4-0 Aggies.
Man, this is so impressive. The 2 home runs, opposite field, gap-type home runs. Talks about their approach, where they're trying to hit the ball. They're not looking to hook and pull and hit over into the poolside bleachers. Look at him stay on this ball right here, knowing he's got the power and the strength to drive that ball out the other way.
Caden Sorrell, first career home run. Not a bad venue for him.
No, and I'm telling you what, that's a swing. If he ever gets into a slump, they're going to pull that video up right there and talk about how he sat back there, got in behind that ball with his body and his swing and his timing, and absolutely just drove that thing the other way.
Camarillo now fouls it off. That shows you how it can strike at any time, even bottom third of the order. The sort of pop A&M has. 2 hits today. Both have left the yard. And it's 4-0 Aggies.
Well, the ASU fans are going to blame you for jinxing the inning for saying a chance to get three down.
Of course the coach would say that. Come on.
That's right.
Broadcaster jinx. Not a thing.
Right? I'll tell you what.
We get weirdly defensive over that. I can't tell you why, Ty. We just do.
Yep. I'll tell you what. Your last statement is so very true about they just can strike at any time. I mean, they just, with that kind of power, and they mow you down with making you throw so many pitches.
Upstairs on 1-1, and now that's about to be 75 here for Burns, and we're in inning number 3. He's only given up 2 hits, 75 pitches.
And every pitch has information for the opposing team. So every time you throw a pitch, if you're paying attention, which that dugout is, the Aggie dugout is, there's information.
Back up the middle, able to stay on it as Camarillo out a little bit in front of it, but that's hit number 3, and the Aggies inning continues with 2 outs for Caden Kent.
Well, he did, but it shows the balance in the base that these guys love to hit out of and how they can stay back and stay behind the ball. He gets a little bit fooled, as you mentioned right there, kept his hands back, just linearly moving through the ball, meaning moving to it, and just kept that barrel in place and drove it back up the middle.
Camarillo on each of the last 2 innings for Caden Kent. Takes a fastball upstairs. Now, they love the swing he has in general and the versatility. He's a guy who can play second, short, third. Austin, Texas native Caden Kent is a sophomore.
Yeah, Dad wasn't a bad player either. Tell you what, I had a chance to watch this young man in high school too. I live fairly close to Austin and spent a lot of time in that area. And even as a youth baseball player, he was a really, really knowledgeable baseball mind and actions on the field.
Takes that pitch for a ball, 2-0. So in our first game, we had the son of the great Mark Grudzelanek, Bryce for USC.
Yep.
Now you get the son of a 19-year-old big league vet, Jeff Kent.
How about that? 19 years. And you're talking about a guy who could play second base and could hit.
2-0 fastball taken for a ball, and it's 3-0.
You know, it could hit with power. Eye-hand coordination was really good. Obviously, been able to teach that and pass it on to his son.
Meanwhile, Ryan Campos out to talk with his young pitcher, Thomas Burns. We're having a veteran catcher like Campos, preseason All-Pac-12 catcher as a junior, super valuable for Thomas Burns. And really the first time Burns has faced any sort of adversity was so good in his first 2 starts.
You know, you don't know till you know, right? What it looks like and feels like and seems like. And really, it's been his fastball command early in counts hasn't been great, but it's also they don't like the second pitch to Kent. The ball was just barely in. A lot of guys swing at that pitch, and he's not used to that yet. And that type of plate discipline from the opponent.
3-0 misses, and it's a 4th walk issued by Thomas Burns. Also allows the Aggies to turn the lineup over for Grahovac.
I mean, 3rd inning. 3rd time through the lineup already. Those long at-bats, walks. As you mentioned just a minute ago, when I say only 3 hits. Now, 2 of them have been run scorers.
First pitch in for a strike, at least to give Burns credit every time he's had a walk. Next pitch with all those rabid Aggie fans chanting, he's been able to find the zone.
His breaker command's been pretty good.
Yep.
It's been that early fastball command. We really tries to get on it and been off the edge of it too much.
Down low in the dirt. That fastball missed. Good block by Campos. You look at Arizona State to start so far. They were really up and down. They split a 4-game home series against Ohio State last weekend. In the 2 wins, it was great. They scored 24 runs. In the 2 losses, pitching really let them down, allowed 24 runs combined. They beat Kansas State in the midweek. K-State started the year top 25, and they took 2 or 3 from Santa Clara to open the year. Spoiled foul on 1-1. So a little bit up and down. You have to think Willie Bloomquist, he sort of alluded to this with us, Ty, is that he'll know a lot more about his team after this weekend, after the 5-3 start.
Oh, absolutely. I mean, they're going to see good arms all weekend. They're going to face great hitters. They're going to face guys who can run. I mean, there's a lot of information about what you need to work on and what you need to do to make yourself and your team better.
The 1-2 to Grahovic. Spanked to center field. Jackson still going back, has room though, and makes the catch. Hit pretty well off the bat, but Jackson had enough to bring that one in. You know who didn't have enough room was Harris Williams on this ball. Hit to left by Caden Sorrell. First career home run gives Texas A&M a 4-0 lead after 3.
Watch me. Watch me roll, grind, and spin. Playgrounds for wheels. That's always a win. One with my chair, but never held back. I do things sitting down most people standing can't hack. Some might say my condition was fate. My doctors would tell you I'm just redefining great. Watch me. Life-changing orthopedic excellence at Shriners Children's. The most amazing care anywhere.
You're so much more than just a landowner. You're a gardener, a groundskeeper, and a landscaper. That's why you need versatile, durable Kubota equipment.
The American Western Weekend. 2 nights of Western sports and live entertainment. Deep in the heart of Texas. March 8th and 9th, Globe Life Field. Friday night, the American Performance Horsemen with a concert by Luke Bryan. Saturday night, the American Rodeo with a concert by Post Malone. The American Western Weekend, March 8th and 9th. Tickets on sale at AmericanRodeo.com.
Another tremendous field of college baseball at one of the best venues in the country, Globe Life Field in Arlington. Today's broadcast is brought to you by Kubota. You need equipment with more reliability and versatility built in, like Kubota BX and L Series compact tractors, rated #1 in durability and owner experience. And day one has produced a lot of great baseball so far. 9-8 win in 11 innings for TCU to start the day. Texas A&M off to a 4-0 lead through 3 against Arizona State. Ryan Prager, a big reason why. 5 strikeouts, not a hit allowed through 3 as he faces the heart of the ASU order. He's known as a strike thrower. He certainly lived up to that scouting report today, Ty.
You know, he sat over there a long time, right? And he's had to do that twice. He rolls out there and throws that little smaller breaker that you were talking about the last half inning. And just darts one right in the middle of the plate for strike 1.
Called strike 2 to make it 1-2. I was surprised to have so many Texas connections when you are a team from College Station like the Aggies. But for Ryan Prager, a little more special. His dad Howard was on the baseball team at UT Arlington. A little jam shot in on the hands. That's playable for Burton on the infield for out number 1. How special must that be now? And Prager in Arlington gets to start A&M's first ever game at Globe Life Field.
No, absolutely. I mean, that's a great way of connecting the dots, but it's one of those things. Baseball to me, it never ceases to amaze me how you connect people, how you connect moments, places, you know, time. It truly, to me, and particularly college baseball, is the greatest game in doing just that.
Hot shot foul off the bat of Ryan Campos after McLean pops out to first. Just the second all-time meeting between these two teams. There are not a ton of connections, although there is one notable former assistant to Jim Schlossnagel's who just faced ASU we'll talk about. The only time these two teams met, it was 07 and Arizona State won. Called strike taken by Campos, 0-2. So it was Jim Schlossnagel when he was in his 18-year run at TCU. One of his top assistants, Bill Mosiello, known as a great assistant throughout college baseball, now is the Ohio State head coach, and they just faced ASU over the weekend, split that 4-game series. So Coach Schloss told us, as this 0-2 is spoiled high and outside, he'll be making a call to old Bill, get some scouts on what to expect on Arizona State. Because when we talked to him, they were coming off a midweek against Lamar, and he said, hey, I haven't really done much yet on ASU. We take it a game at a time. We were focused on Lamar in the midweek. Another fastball outside.
Yeah, and you know it's interesting when you and Jim's coaching tree is huge now, right? I mean, and Jim and I kind of started in similar age frame and time, and his has grown, and he's got head coaches all over, assistants all over the country now. And the benefit of that is you can pick up the phone and say, hey, tell me what I need to know about this in my terms. Like, you know what I want to know, right? The information that I need that I can move forward with. And it's helpful when you've earned the right to have that many assistant coaches go out and be who they are now.
3-2 just misses high. How about Ryan Campos from 0-2? He works the walk. That is the first base runner since the first inning for Arizona State as they try to put something together against Ryan Prager.
But you don't see Ryan Prager lose a guy after getting 2 strikes very often. He had 2 strikes on him, wasn't able to connect with one of the fastballs away, and then he tried to go back with 2 sliders and wasn't able to sync him up and get him into the strike zone.
And just the second free pass. At least the first walk of the game was the second of the season, so now only 3 this year in 15 innings. He does get a first pitch strike to Jacob Tobias. Well, the first 2 starts this year for Ryan Prager, Aggies have won by a combined score of 32-2. 1 hitter against McNeese on opening day in 5 innings, no walks, 9 Ks. 6 2/3 last weekend against Wagner. 6 hits, no runs, 1 walk, 10 Ks. And this is high on 0-1. I mean, just dominance, all the numbers from A&M. They beat McNeese 31-1 in that 3-game series to open the season.
I mean, McNeese is a good team traditionally out of the Southland Conference as well.
Not a cupcake by any means. It's on the outside edge. Nice slider to make it 1-2. And by no means, too, I mean, is it uncommon for even the Blue Bloods to get upset early in the season? You see it all the time. I mean, SEC schools, 2 teams well outside the top 100 in RPI. It's just the nature of college baseball. Called strike 3. He goes right back to the slider and freezes up Tobias on 1-2.
Well, he does. He had a couple of fastball misses elevated. And he goes back to his bread and butter. And I'm telling you, that this slider to me is his bread and butter pitch. I mean, this is what he works off of. The fastball's good. It's 90. It's got great movement to it, good life, good angle, all those things you're looking for, command. But that slider, I think he's able to command it as well as his fastball, if not even better.
Swing and a miss now to Kevin Karstetter. I mean, think about the bite, too. When you're combining that with a reputation for throwing strikes, it almost forces you to expand your zone as a hitter just because of the respect, right? You have to have.
I'm going to be curious at the end of this game what his fastball slider ratio is.
Again, just pumping it in. That slider catches the inside edge one more time.
It might be 60-40 right now, sliders. And then that's just me visually looking at it. I'm going to look it up at the end of his outing. But boy, slider command is big league slider command.
Flair fouled on the first base line. Arizona State without a hit, just a couple walks so far in 3 2/3 against Ryan Prager. ASU, this is the first of 4 games they're playing in the Arlington area. Have 3 games this weekend. They'll stay out here. A true road game at UT Arlington on Tuesday, and that's their final tune-up before Pac-12 play. They host Oregon next weekend. A huge weekend in multiple respects as a result for the Arizona State program. A check swing on a fastball outside. Couple Aggies are starting to trot toward the dugout on 0-2.
I think some of the Aggie players, and I know a lot of the Aggie fans, were starting to trot towards the dugout or they had to go get a beverage, one or the other.
Kevin Karstetter back in there for a 1-2. Down in the dirt.
I haven't seen many change-ups. Went to his change-up. Came off of a outside kind of elevated fastball, went back on, tried to go to that same line with a changeup, wasn't able to get it up just visually enough to entice a swing.
JUCO transfer from the State College of Florida. Had a huge year last year, Kevin Karstetter. Swing and a miss. Gets him on the slider inside. Strikeout number 7 for Ryan Prager, who is dealing through his 4 innings of work. And it's all A&M right now, an early 4-0 lead behind their Friday night guy, Ryan Prager.
More than just a landowner, you're a gardener, a groundskeeper, and a landscaper. That's why you need versatile, durable Kubota equipment.
3 bands, 1 stadium. Def Leppard, Journey, the Steve Miller Band. Together. 3 Rock and Roll Hall of Fame icons. Their biggest hits, August 12th, Globe Life Field. Tickets on sale now at DefLeppardJourney2024.com.
Sometimes you just need a little wonderful in your life. So why not go to a place made for it? Arlington, Texas. It's a city made for fun and excitement and all the things you love to do. And even some things you didn't know you loved until you came here and found them. Come see for yourself why Arlington is a world of wonderful.
Welcome back in, everybody. Bottom of the 4th, we go. A&M 4, Arizona State nothing. Sean Decker, he's back with us for a 3rd straight weekend here from Rev Entertainment. Thanks for hanging out with us, man. We didn't scare you away.
No, thanks for having me. Gosh, I think we're like, what is this, game 20 of 24 in the last 3 weeks? Yeah, we can't get enough.
You might be the busiest man in college baseball right now. Everybody else is acting like it, and you might be.
No, I just sit around with my feet up and get to watch good baseball. So all good here. It's been a really fun 3 weeks.
And we were just talking too about how we got so used to doing this tournament, just the sign of college baseball coming back, opening weekend, and now you expand it. I mean, 3 weekends, 16 teams, and seems like you guys haven't skipped a beat, just ready to go for it.
No, and we were adding it up today. If you look at it, we're also only halfway done. If you look at the Big 12 Baseball Championship coming in May, we're going to play 41 ball games here this year, and if it were up to us, we'd play 50 or more. So we want a full schedule here every year. It's been great.
You know what? I'm gonna say this, and last time I don't know if I did or I didn't. I've been around college baseball for 40 years almost as a player and a coach, and college baseball couldn't be any bigger and better than what it is.
You see fly ball from Jason Laviolette, just stays in the yard.
And every time he hits something, you could hear everybody take a deep breath, by the way.
Yeah.
But in college baseball is, in my opinion, at the best or at its peak that it's been. And you guys have taken college baseball and added to what it is today, made it better, and I appreciate that as a coach and a guy that has been around this game a long time and watched college baseball just kind of, struggle along. I always loved it, and now more people by what you guys are doing, and we appreciate that from the college baseball world.
Well, man, thank you. It means a lot to us. We love this. This is a lot of fun. And listen, I got to tell you, it's when we first were opening this building, and we were talking about opening this building in 2017, there was like you're not going to be able to play that much college baseball. We wanted to be a big piece of it. And listen, the best news was the game kind of met us here.
Wow, and that's the 2nd time here, Sean. Brayton Montgomery's got plunked. He's not happy about it. And Jim Schlossnagle out of the dugout. I think he's saying we need Sean Decker in here every inning, every game. But Ty, you understand, right, where Schloss is coming from? It's 2 times his star's gotten plunked in the back.
No, well, you come up and you hit a homer, and everybody knows how good a player he is anyway. And Jim's going out and doing what he needs to do. He's going out to protect his player. I mean, that's the 2nd time he's been hit. And obviously you can see the frustration and the emotion and all the above. And he's got every right to go out there and question this and go, hey, look, that's the 2nd time after he hit a 3-run homer that he gets plunked in the back on the first pitch both times.
Chris Koski, he's been a busy man today. That puts Montgomery on again. Here's another look. We said, Ty, first one certainly didn't feel like, based on the situation, was intentional whatsoever. I mean, you'd like to think that wasn't, but you understand, and that also gets up towards his head too. The first one hit him middle of the back.
Yeah, that's. You're looking. I don't know if it is. I can't answer that question, right? I can only look at it and think or assume. My baseball background might tell me one thing to another, but I think the umpires are doing the right thing right now. They're going to get together and they're going to talk about it. Sean, you've been in those meetings before as an umpire. I don't know if everybody knows that. You've been an umpire.
I spent a little time in that. Gosh, I got to tell you, that's the worst too. I mean, listen, I got to tell you, a baseball to the middle of the back is pretty tough, especially the guy who's hit.
So they will warn both benches. Really, Bloomquist.
Ty, I want to know your take on this. How do you like it when A&M hasn't hit anybody and they get warned out here? How do you feel?
Yeah, I've never been a fan of that. I always thought that was. And you probably had to deal with the coach holler. That's why you're asking that question.
Yeah,
I've had to do that before as a coach too. Your kids get hit, and then both dugouts get warned. So now you're a pitcher. If he hits somebody, he's out, and you're gone with him.
Yeah, no doubt.
And so I always thought that wasn't. Look, sometimes common sense doesn't come into play all the time because you got to kind of universally pull in a rule and make it, blanket the moment or the situation. And that's a great question and point on you. I had been on that side of it where I was like, hey, my guy hasn't done anything yet, right? He hasn't hit anybody yet.
No question. Why are we getting warned? No, that's why I was interested.
We were talking before Sean.
Yeah.
Thrown into the fire.
It's been a long time. It's been 20 years, but I wouldn't envy getting back on the field again anytime. I like this spot a lot better.
So whenever you come on with us, though, something can break out. I mean, we are watching the game, and he was talking about opening this place and the conversations going back to 2017, all the success here, and a pretty good timely investment, wouldn't you say, with how the game nationally has grown? And
no question,
here we get a little check swing. That will go foul. And just, you look at the ratings last year. I mean, highest it's ever been for college baseball nationally. It's got to feel pretty special on your guys' end, knowing that you bought in kind of ahead of the curve, and now college baseball has reached this point.
No question. We believe in college baseball. I mean, the numbers don't lie. We're going to have over 100,000 people in the ballpark over the last 3 weeks. The quality of the programs is better than it's ever been. The quality of the players is better than it's ever been. I mean, everywhere you go, everything's gotten better. And candidly, what we've tried to do is take the student athletes there's all kinds of great stories, but you go to a college bowl game for football, some of these MTE events for basketball, and they get these world-class experience. What we wanted to do is to bring this experience to baseball. So all the kids get a gift when they get here. They all got Blender sunglasses this year, and try to make it a really special thing for them.
A lot of times college coaches, you'll hear them say every once in a while, not all the time, every once in a while when they go play in pro parks that they're visitors in, that they're not quite, they don't get to get on the field as much. They don't get to do everything. Every coach that I have spoken, and I have asked each of them, because I know every one of them, and the people who are working here, all of them have said the same thing. You guys have been unbelievable, accommodating.
Good.
And for college coaches, that's huge, right?
I got to tell you, it's perfect that he's here right now and he's playing, because Jim Schlossnagle is at TCU, and when we first started putting this tournament together, I called him in 2017. A true story, he helped me put together our first lineup ever for that tournament in 21. And the first thing he told me was, when we go some places, they tell us where we can stand, where we can't stand, how we work out. And he said, I'll tell you, if you want these guys to really enjoy coming here, don't do that. Now, listen, we've got a bit of an unfair advantage with the synthetic surface, so we're less concerned about it. But at the same time, we come in, and I mean, listen, gosh, the way the money is, you guys know, shoot, half of these head baseball coaches are making more than a big league manager. These players are the real deal. They've got NIL deals. Like these kids know what they're doing. These coaches are world class. And the last thing we want to do is make them feel like they're anything less than that.
2-2 here to Hayden. Shot is fouled off. Got some juice here picking up, too, in the building. Sean, we've had great crowds all 3 weekends. A&M, you knew would travel well. Kind of hard to believe this is their first time at Globe Life.
Yeah, no doubt. We really, back with their prior administration, we had them play over across the street a bunch of midweek games, and we would have them up a lot. And when we started the tournament, we couldn't get them. Candidly, again, Schloss moves from TCU over, understood what we were trying to do here, and the first thing he did, this is a true story, he called me, he said, hey, I want in on the tournament. And I said, Jim, we're booked through like 2027 right now. I said, we're talking about expanding weekends 2 and 3. We'd love to have you.
Here, a pop-up. This will stay on the infield into foul territory for Karstetter, who makes the catch. I remember even going back to that first year of this and talking to you, and you said the interest was just through the roof as soon as people kind of got wind, it was like that domino effect. All it took was a couple big programs signing up and going all in on it, and that's really just started the domino effect for you guys.
100%. I think for us, that was year one was so critical. We were lucky. I don't know if you guys remember with that lineup, we had 6 of the top 10 programs in the country that year. It just the way it fell. I'd love to say we had great foresight. We knew they were great programs, but we didn't know it was going to be that good. But then getting them here and getting those head coaches to tell other folks they had a good experience was really critical for us. And now it's something we spend a lot of time. Jared Schramm in our group spends a lot of time on the road talking to these guys, figuring out what we can do to make it a better experience.
And Sean Decker, president of Rev Entertainment, Texas Rangers executive vice president of sports and entertainment, hanging out with us in the booth. As soon as you got here, got a little bit spicy.
Yeah.
A&M fans really getting into it now, trying to egg on Thomas Burns, who sit there, star Brayton Montgomery twice.
Makes for good TV. I like it.
No
Get everybody
doubt.
fired up. Good energy in the building. Come on, let's go.
I mean,
This
we're
is the place
saying
to be.
tie game 1 today. We had a combined 1, 2, 3 half innings. I mean, there was action. I mean, up and down. A great opening game between USC and TCU.
Yeah, it's funny. I was in my office for most of the first game. I had a few meetings. I came down thinking I was going to watch TCU close it out in the 9th to catch that back end of the game, and I got to watch plenty of that game too when it was all said and done.
Well, bonus baseball is not a bad thing for me. I enjoy it. I mean, some people want to get the game over, and I respect the pace of the game too, right?
Yeah,
I
no
like
doubt.
for them to keep moving too, but I always think there's always a new hero, and as a coach, you always find out something new when you get into extra innings because you historically got to go to your bench or you got to go to your bullpen, and somebody comes out of there that you didn't plan on, and then all of a sudden, you know, you move forward and go, hey, he got that big hit, or hey, he made, you know, he pitched for 2 or 3 innings.
Or he comes in and sees bases loaded, nobody out, and strikes out 3 guys on 9 pitches.
Right. Yeah, that too.
Unbelievable. Yeah, it was. We saw that last week too, right? In that Arkansas-Oklahoma State game. What a tremendous game we had there, going 14 innings. What was it? We got a suicide squeeze with
2 strikes, 2 count.
I got to know, what'd you have on that?
So I'm going to tell you. So a friend of mine, Brant Freeman, called me after he did the game. He said, "What'd you think about it?" I said, "Well, they decided they were going to pitch to him because the count got to 0-2." So in Josh's mind at that point, Holiday thought, if they're going to pitch to him, let's surprise the idea. And so, would I have? Probably not.
Yeah.
On 1-2. Or 2-2, or if it had gotten to 2-2, then yeah, I would have highly considered. But I knew what he was thinking. Look, they're not going to expect it, and if they've already committed to pitching it to him with the base open, then you're like, let's do it now, because if it gets to 3-2, they're going to start throwing breakers, or 2-2, they're going to start throwing breakers.
Talking about that Arkansas-Oklahoma State game, went to 14 innings as it's called strike 3. Burton takes it on the outside edge to end the inning. Sean Decker joining us here in the booth. As always, Sean, true pleasure. What a great event this is to be a part of. Thanks so much.
Thanks for having us. Thanks for having you guys work the last 3 weeks.
And no doubt. Still a lot more baseball to come here. We played 4 from Arlington as Burton is run up to end the inning.
Your pride and joy is measured in acres. Keep them looking their best with the Kubota lineup. Versatile Sidekick utility vehicles. The #1 rated tractor brand for durability and owner experience. Professional grade mowers for a professional cut. It's equipment built with one purpose, to get the job done right.
The United Football League has arrived, and Arlington, your Renegades are back.
That's what I'm talking about.
Cheer on the Renegades and kick off the first ever UFL season at Choctaw Stadium.
This was a dime.
Bring the whole family and be a part of football history.
A little razzle-dazzle.
Head to the UFL.com and buy your Renegades tickets today.
Done, get it right in the fields, let it out. Get it done, get it right in the fields, let it out. Get it done, get it right in the fields, let it out.
Let's get it.
Done, get it right in the fields, let it out. Get it done, get it right in the fields, let it out.
Let's get it.
As we head to the 5th inning, the star on the mound so far has been Ryan Prager. 7 Ks so far through 4 he has been dealing since the first pitch of the night, Ty.
he's been dealing that slider like it's, like he was born with it. I mean, he's got such great command of it, pace of it, confidence in it. It's a big-time pitch.
We go to the top of the 5th. A little bit different feel in the park since the last time Prager was out there, with everything that broke out in that last inning, the hit by pitch to Montgomery, fans getting frustrated, the warnings to both benches from home plate umpire Chris Koski as we start this 5th inning with Isaiah Jackson waving and missing. From really both head coaches' perspective, we'll start with where Jim Schlossnagle was at for A&M, since he was the one who was so frustrated. His guy got plunked. How do you keep your team under control when you're in the middle of a game that's suddenly turned very, very emotional?
You like the emotion, you like the competitiveness, but you don't want them to get out of it too far, right? You don't want to get it away or let the emotion get away from them. It's stuff that you talk about, emotions that you talk about prior to it happening. And then once it happens, I mean, everybody's blood pressure in this building went up, right? The emotion and everything. And they got to learn how to use it as a benefit, use it for the good, not against each other or against them, and try to figure out, hey, take that emotion and use it for focus.
1 and 2 missing outside Isaiah Jackson. For Arizona State, you hope you can just channel it into some sort of positivity and spark on your offensive side. Yet to get a hit against Prager. Josh misses upstairs, and it's 3 and 2. Even working the 3-ball count feels like a mini win of its own with how good he's been.
Yeah, the last half inning, and then this one a little bit. He was down around the kneecaps most of the first part of the 2 or 3 innings, and now getting a little bit elevated.
Other way, it's falling fast, but caught by Hayden Schott. Makes a shoestring grab. Earlier we saw Sorrell make a beautiful catch to Rob Mendoza, and more good D by A&M.
I mean, if you're Arizona State, you got to be thinking, what do we got to do to get a hit? I mean, we finally get a count. He elevates one. We get a good swing at it, and then they come in and make another shoestring catch like they did early in the game.
And that combo of really good pitching, really good defense, along with popping the bats of A&M, giving them the 4-0 lead early. Mendoza, he was the guy who got robbed, and he takes a first pitch strike.
He put a really good swing on that ball. He drove to right, too. I mean, he got his hands above that baseball and drove it. Just part of the game. And defense isn't as sexy as the hitting and the pitching. And until you see great plays like that, and you see how much speed they've got in the outfield, how good they are at making diving catches and catching the ball on the run.
Pounded to left center off the bat of Mendoza. Pretty good chase. It is off the glove of Laviolette. Finally, a well-hit ball drops for Arizona State. Their first hit of the night comes via Ethan Mendoza, a 1-out double in the 5th.
I thought he broke on this ball so good and outran it. I mean, he absolutely out it. Boy, that's a good-looking swing. That's a flat swing. As he got near the pen or the bullpen, he could look. He tried to caught the heel of his glove, and wasn't able to get it into the webbing, where he would have had a better chance of catching it. That's 2 good swings for Mendoza tonight.
Robbed the first time, so close to being robbed again. Wonder on Laviolette's perspective, you can kind of feel that wall coming. Was that in his mind at all as he crashed into it?
Yeah, maybe. And playing in a ballpark that you've never played in before, you don't know, right? You think you know. You go out there and you take, fly balls, and you run around and you try to count your steps and how far you got. And if you look where he went, it's at that cut of the fence, Ben, where it goes from 375, and then it indents out to 410 right there at the bullpen. You can see right there at the 410 on the other side of it, and so it opens up. He would have normally, if that fence was regular and not dented back, he would have been into the fence. So in his mind, maybe it was hey, I know it's coming, and if you've never had to go turn your back and go try to catch a baseball with a fence is close, it's hard to do.
Well, you had asked, what does Arizona State have to do to get a hit?
Yeah.
That's kind of how they felt. Well, hit a ball like that, force Laviolette to make a all-world play. Brandon Compton now comes up, and got our first visit to the mound from new pitching coach Max Weiner for Texas A&M. Strike one on Compton. That's really where the new pitching approach has started and ended with Max Weiner. Everything's based off that first pitch strikes. as he gets ahead 0-2 in the number that they focused on that Coach Schlossnagel told us about earlier in the week, Ty, was that they got numbers from Coach Wiener that 94% of the time, a first pitch in the strike zone, it either results in an 0-1 count or an out. So when you phrase it that way, as this foul tip is controlled, caught for strike 3. Is it?
Yeah, I don't. They're calling. They're calling him out now. This is going to get a lot of discussion.
Well, they said out on the field.
He did, but he's saying he saw. Yeah.
So our home plate umpire multiple times said that was strike 3 and out.
And the third base umpire did too. He checked with him. He checked the third base umpire, and the third base umpire held his hand up and said, yeah, he caught it. And it's unusual when a foul tip goes straight down that the catcher has the ability to catch it. Usually it goes straight down so hard they can't get the glove to it in time.
So that is a strikeout. It's number 8 now for Ryan Prager. Little pop-up. Sorrell coming in, Kent going out, but Sorrell makes the catch, and Prager works out of that walk. How about that? 94% of those first pitches in the zone, a strike or an out. Remarkable stuff. A&M 4-0 lead halfway home. A great house packed tonight. Mostly Texas A&M fans, and we expect even more of it. I realize we're showing you the outfield bleachers where there aren't a lot of fans, but trust me, there's a lot of A&M fans in the house tonight. 3 largest college baseball crowds this season. Through the first 2 weekends, here we start weekend number 3. Attendance of over 70,000. Good representation, too, from Arizona State. And the second night, Saturday night last weekend, we had over 16,000 in the house. Tremendous fan support all 3 weekends. It helps make these games, feel like they have life and feel real, because without it, it would just be this cavernous stadium, and the fans help make it truly a next level atmosphere.
Well, we've already talked about the Aggie fan base. They support everything, every sport and every idea. I mean, they just, they love their university, and you knew they were going to show. And I think as a parent, if Arizona State, USC, that if you get your son's schedule and you go, what trips are we making? Oh, I'm picking this one because the indoors in the DFW area and Ranger a pro ballpark. This is my choice.
A lot of teams, as Sean Decker told us earlier, who's president of Rev Entertainment, are on that waiting list. They all want to come here as it's a 1-2 count. New pitcher for the Sun Devils of Arizona State. Thomas Burns' day is done as it's fouled off by Appel. Ryan Schieffer in, the Gilbert, Arizona native, transfer from Central Arizona JUCO. And it was a battle for Burns. 4 earned in 4 innings. 3 hits, 4 walks, 5 strikeouts, and gave up the 2 long balls. just outside on 1-2.
There's a lot he'll take out of this. You know, whether he wins or gets the loss, I'm sorry, but he's going to take a lot experience out of tonight's outing. You know, a good offensive team, you see a strikeout, a good offensive team that knows their strike zone makes him better. I mean, there'll be a lot he gets out of it.
Gets the swing and a miss. It's a strikeout on Jackson Appel. There's Ryan Schieffer. Been an interesting path for him. He started out at Grand Canyon in 2022. Only got in a handful of games, 7 2/3 innings, then went the JUCO route last year. He's been in Arizona the whole time, the Arizona native, and has been good early on this season. It's his third outing. It's just been, command has been good. He's just given up a couple too many hits. 2 hits his last time out in a loss to Ohio State last weekend. But they do like the direction he's going in, and he's the first arm out of the pen, trying to keep this a 4-run game and allow Arizona State to get some offense going on the other side. Facing the man who homered last time up, Sorrell, another big swing, but he hits it a mile into the air. And Diener wants it and makes the catch.
Seemed like that ball stayed up there a while, didn't it?
It did. You got plenty of room to hit it up there.
Yeah, you do.
Like Globe.
Yeah. I tell you what, just at the short look so far of Schieffer, it's a really loose arm. I mean, it's a 92, 93, and what I mean by that, got a tremendous amount of arm speed, hand speed, and off that 92 was that changeup he just threw that got him out front to get that fly ball.
He was clocked at 94 in high school. Your fastball in there for a strike. It was a big get for Grand Canyon. Back then, that was Andy Stankiewicz at Grand Canyon, who's now the head coach at USC, who we saw in our first game today. Fastball runs up and in 1-1 to Ali Camarillo. Joss misses there. Well, even though Burns started off with that 3 spot in the first and was working around danger nonstop, Ty, he only gives up 1 run final 3 innings of work. Called strike there to make it 2-2. And while this is a 4-0 game, I mean, it kind of has the feel because of how good Prager's been, like it's sort of like 8-0. But at the same time, you know, it's still very much in play here for ASU if they get 1 good inning.
Yeah, Ben, that's a great point. I mean, it does seem like it's like an 8-0 because of all the base runners and you know, the walks, and then they were able to get out of some of it, and then the 2 homers. I mean, it just, you know, the weight of that makes it feel like it was or is a bigger lead than what it is. But you're right, if they don't add more to it, I mean, you're a couple base hits, a walk, and a homer from cutting it in half, or they're leading half.
Called strike 3. Nice inning from Schieffer out of the pen. A pair of strikeouts in his first inning of work. Trying to buy some time for those Arizona State bats. They trail by 4 after 5 innings.
Watch me. Watch me jump, dive, and splash. Put me by a pool, I'll be soaked in a flash. A girl in the water to swim like a fish. Just 2 simple legs. That was my wish. I'm a sea turtle, shark, a seal on a slide. This is my day of fun, with nothing to hide. Watch me. Pioneers in orthotic and prosthetic technology at Shriners Children's. The most amazing care anywhere.
Kane Brown in the Air Tour. Saturday, September 14th, Globe Life Field. Special guests, Cole Swindell, Locash, and Ray Lynn. Crossover superstar Kane Brown Live. So thank God I get to on sale now at KaneBrownMusic.com. Presented by AEG Presents.
Home of the defending World Series champion Texas Rangers at beautiful Globe Life Field, a building that has really been credited, honestly, for giving the Rangers this title. A lot of talk about how Hard to get a lot of big free agent named pitchers back when they played all summer in the baking heats. They tried moving Sunday games late. Didn't do much. Now you get Jacob deGrom. Max Scherzer coming in. Corey Seager, one of the heroes last year. They are set to unveil that championship banner coming up in a few weeks. Spring training underway, and what a moment that will be when they unveil the banner, first ever in franchise history.
Well, if you've never been here in late July or August, it's hot. And that ballpark, the old ballpark, was set up with that south wind too, and it would just carry out there. But I mean, it was, those day games were hot.
Yeah, they've got the slats already set up, primed.
Yeah.
To be revealed. First pitch just misses outside, and the day done for Ryan Prager. Man, how good was he? 5 innings, a single hit, 2 walks, 8 strikeouts. That's now 16 2/3 for Prager without allowing a run. As this pitch is hit out the center, Laviolette has a beat and makes the catch on Harris Williams. 8 hits, 3 walks, 27 Ks, and 16 2/3 to start Ryan Prager's season. He gives way for Evan Aschenbeck, who has pretty big shoes to fill.
It'd be a tough act to follow. I mean, it was. Let's go back to Prager. He was obviously impressive and has been all year long. I just think when he's able to connect with that slider, the right-handed and left-handed hitters have such a hard time gauging the depth of it and the way he attacks it. And again, he's playing off of a 91, 92 mile-an-hour fastball. Now, what we did see briefly tonight at times was that changeup. And if he brings that thing back into play, it's really going to be hard on opposing hitters.
Pumps in a called strike. It is interesting. You don't see all that often, the old lefty to lefty strategy. But for Coach Jim Schlossnagle, independently, 2 arms that he really likes. And you have Aschenbeck, a JUCO transfer coming in. He was a huge surprise last year. This is a team that struggled on the mound. 5.66 team ERA, one of the worst in the SEC. Dead last in walks, most in team history by 40. But Aschenbeck came in and established himself, a JUCO transfer from Blinn Community College, which you know a thing or two about.
I do. I coached there for a year and loved it. Absolutely loved Brenham, Texas. And it was and Blinn was an unbelievable. It's a beautiful, beautiful campus.
1-2 just misses outside. He's facing Nick McLean here with 1 out in the 6th inning. And Aschenbeck is from Brenham, so he stayed home. So a team that had an ERA of over 5.60 had a guy in Aschenbeck who comes in, goes 8-1 with a 3.46 ERA last year. Foul shot back on 2-2.
Well, where Blinn is in Brenham, Texas, the Little Leagues, Washington County Little Leagues, Brenham High School has produced so many big leaguers and college baseball players. It is a baseball town.
Off to a good start this year, 1.13 ERA in his 3 appearances. And McLean just stays alive on 2-2. What is nice about Aschenbeck, he was a great starter at JUCO. They can use him in some long relief. Like if he comes in now and he's dealing, they'll let him go 2-3 innings. He went 4 innings last time out against Wagner. Did not give up a run on 2 hits. Sent to right field. Sorrell on it, makes the catch. First 2 outs retired via the fly balls. McLean is set down.
Well, he goes back to the changeup. He changeup before he fouled off. He goes right back to it again, which you don't always see. A lot of time pitchers will go off their changeup back to something different, stays with it, gets him out front, gets it off the end of the bat.
How often did you see throughout your career the juxtaposition of the guys who have the great stuff, they can throw upper 90s, you're a swinging strike, they look awesome, but they get into games and they just really struggle to put it all together, versus a guy like Aschenbeck who will not blow you away. The stuff doesn't seem all that amazing, and he just knows how to pitch.
Disruptive timing. All you're trying to do is disrupt the barrel timing and the hitter's timing. The location of it obviously is important. That changeup was away. I mean, you know, we saw earlier how being able to throw that slider on the outer half of the plate and the command of the corners is critical. Just like that right there. That's a tough pitch to get the barrel to and put a good swing on.
Freezes him up on 1-1. Aschenbeck looking to pick right up where Prager left off. The staff that's allowed just one hit as we play with 2 outs in the 6th. Josh Smith trying to go front door slider. On the lefty-lefty matchup, Ryan Campos. A career .372 hitter coming into the season, almost an 1,100 OPS last year for ASU. Chops one to the right side. Originally, Burton broke to his right, had to backtrack, but he gets there in time. 4-3 on the putout. 1-2-3 inning for Aschenbeck out of the pen.
You're so much more than just a landowner. You're a gardener, a groundskeeper, and a landscaper. That's why you need versatile, durable Kubota equipment.
3 bands, 1 stadium. Def Leppard, Journey, the Steve Miller Band. Together. 3 Rock and Roll Hall of Fame icons. Their biggest hits. August 12th, Globe Life Field. Tickets on sale now at DefLeppardJourney2024.com.
Chris Stapleton's All-American Roadshow. Saturday, June 15th, Globe Life Field, with special guests Tedeschi Trucks Band and Marcus King. On sale now at Ticketmaster.com. Chris Stapleton's All-American Roadshow. New album, Higher, available now.
4-0 game as we go to the bottom of the 6th. Arizona State and Texas A&M. There's some Sun Devil fans in the house, and the Sun Devils, weren't that far off, Ty, from being an NCAA tournament team last year. Finished with a top 50 RPI. Were really good at home, 22-9. Ultimately, just 5-12 though against the top 50. Needed a couple more wins against those good teams in the Pac-12 to maybe swing their resume, get on the right side of the bubble. But a group that, for being a second year for Willie Bloomquist, a lot to like about the direction of that program.
Absolutely. I mean, it had a lot of draft picks, and he spoke early about when we asked where he thought the program was, that they're not that far away, right? They're the right word. We're headed in the right direction, and that's exactly right.
8 draft picks last year, most since 2015. They had 6 pitchers drafted, most for the program since 2010. As Caden Kent's behind in the count, 0-2. Ryan Schieffer back out, his second inning of work for Willie Bloomquist, who played for the great Pat Murphy. He was taking over this year, manager of the Milwaukee Brewers for Craig Counsell. Swing and a miss there. 1-2-3. Schieffer makes quick work of Caden Kent.
Well, I tell you what, he's attacking his fastball. He's attacking his secondary pitches. That's a good-looking changeup. I mean, he is just getting after it. It's that thumb and that forefinger right into the inside of that baseball, makes it tumble just enough. It's a great pitch.
Ball down low here as we go back to the top of the order. Gavin Grahovac, and honestly, for ASU, the way that first inning, even into the first couple, went, where the Aggies had the 3-run homer in the first, bases loaded in the second, it just sort of felt like every single half inning, getting 3 outs would be hard to come by, and yet they've held their ground. Only 1 run given up since then, and 4-run game right now, bottom 6. Pitching's gotten better as the nights went on. With Grahovac out in front of that breaking ball, 0-2.
It's been a great mixture of changeups, breakers, occasionally off the fastball. It's been really more secondary pitches to get the Aggies' barrels moving. And really, if you go back to Burns' outing, his secondary pitch command was better to me than the fastball command was.
Burns started it, the freshman, first opening day true freshman starter for ASU since '06. And now Ryan Schieffer in his first year as a JUCO transfer. Fastball just missed on 0-2.
I thought that ball was going to run back and catch the corner of the plate. It was just maybe high enough out of the strike zone. Hey, good, really good late action.
Schieffer comes inside now on 1 and 2. Count runs to 2 and 2. And when you have 6 pitchers drafted, that's where a lot now falls on guys like Ryan Schieffer who come in. JUCO transfers with very live arms. You're really hoping they can develop into the guys you want. As he gets the swing and miss out in front of a curveball. 4th strikeout already for Schieffer.
It's hard to replace 6 guys that get drafted off the mound. Goes back to that slider right there. Gets that barrel moving, but it's hard to replace that many when you lose that many quality pitchers to the draft. And again, they're looking for this right here. For the guys like this to step into this moment against a really good hitting team and make quality pitches.
Goes 1-0 to Jace Laviolette. 2 walks and a flyout for Laviolette. Entered play today. .433 on the season average. Check swing. And an offer, 1-1. Yeah, 6 of the 12 top arms for ASU were freshmen this year. And you add in a guy like Schieffer, first guy out of the pen tonight as a JUCO transfer. A lot of youth / D1 inexperience. That one misses high and outside.
Sometimes that youth has the ability to grow up in a hurry. It's usually not the first week or two. They'll show you signs of it. But you get into March and then April and it starts to show up.
Comes inside on Laviolette on 2-1. Gets a weak grounder to the right side. How about Ryan Schieffer? 6 up, 6 down out of the pen as we go to the 7th. Arizona State running out of time to forge a comeback. 9 outs to go, down 4-0 with the heart of the order due up. Jacob Tobias up first against Evan Aschenbeck, back out for a second inning of relief. And this new look pitching staff, Ty, has been so good. Max Weiner, the first year pitching coach, all starts with that ability to get first pitches in the strike zone, and A&M has lived off that tonight. Arizona State just a single hit through 6 innings.
You know, you brought up the percentage of first pitch strikes. If you throw it in there, what was it, 94% of them you get back in your glove, is how Jim referred to it, meaning you either get to throw it again or it's an out.
Yeah, just a pitch in the strike zone to start an at-bat. 94%.
Think about that.
I was admittedly surprised by that. With, you know, if you just groove a fastball right down the middle, I would have thought, oh, that's got a much higher probability of getting hit hard somewhere.
I knew that the percentages were high. I didn't know it was that high. And then I loved the way Jim put it, was just you get the pitch back in your glove, meaning you get to throw the second pitch or the batter's out. And they have that. So now that's their culture. That's their mindset. that's what. And if you can't do it, you're not going to find much time out there on the mound.
Tobias didn't mean to, but stays alive on 1 and 2. Max Wiener, fascinating story. He founded a website. Here's a look at Max down in the dugout. As a 19-year-old, a website for pitching development called the Arm Farm. I mean, he's a super young guy. He's on the Forbes 30 under 30 in sports list last year. And hired as a mid-20-year-old to a 25-year-old. Here's this pitch. Results in a little tapper and a nice play by Aschenbeck to throw out the charging Tobias. It's not just coaching the pitchers on actual stuff. It's also fielding as well. And there's Wiener. Spent 5 years with Seattle as their pitching coordinator. Hired as a 24-year-old.
How about that? I mean, look, at some point in his life, one of these days I'm going to get a chance to visit with him. Was it 14? Was it at 15 years old that he said, I love the science of this game and throwing a baseball?
And you also have to give a lot of credit, too, to head coach Jim Schlossnagle. You go way back with.
Yep.
Old school guy. But to sit there, listen to a young pitching coach who is very into analytics and say, you know what? I'm not just going to be like the old guy yelling at cloud, poo-pooing the analytics. I think I can really use that. That, to me, is really impressive when you tend to see it go one of two ways. Either they are all in on analytics or they hate analytics.
Well, let me tell you something about Jim Schlossnagle. He's one of the most creative guys you'll be around. He's not afraid to react and act upon his thoughts and his ideas. We all have great ideas, just some of us don't act on them like we could or should. He does, and he is really animate about the research of the guys that are going to be on his staff. He wants to stay. His goal is to stay and to keep his program one step ahead of everybody else.
1 and 2 right here. Bounces one in the dirt to Karstetter.
And subsequently, he's willing to go get a young pitching guy that has a lot of science behind it. But I guarantee you the amount of research Jim put into Max was enormous. The number of phone calls, I bet, was a ton.
Hot shot slicing into the corner, just foul. Off the bat at Karstetter.
Look, analytics are a part of the game. They have always been a part of the game. The depth of them have changed. The technology has changed the analytics that we get. We didn't talk much about spin rate. We knew balls sounded heavy or had, heavy sink to it, or really had a great, really could spin a breaker. We always knew that, but now we've got this technology that tells us and defines it. And if you go find the right people, you can use it to your advantage.
Foul tip is secured. Strike 3. And a 9th strikeout tonight by Texas A&M pitching Max Wiener. Mark, whatever note you call for a foul tip, strike 3, and
there it is.
Another
right?
hitter back in the dugout.
There it is. I mean, and look, the analytics part of, you'll hear people argue, old school baseball guys, well, you can't put the analytics on the heart. No, you can't. But the analytics can tell you that with his heart and his spin rate, with his heart and his fastball rate, you can help him, his heart get even bigger and his competitiveness get even better in big moments.
So it all has a place.
Sure, it
doesn't
does.
have to be one side or the other. 0-1 here to Isaiah Jackson. Booms this one back up the middle, but takes a nice hop for Camarillo. Made a nice read on that ball, and it's yet another 1-2-3 inning. Aschenbeck is retired all 6 he's faced out of the pen. Stretch time from Globe Life Field.
Watch me. Watch me tumble, jump, and soar. When our squad is on point, we own the floor. Dazzling stunts and dances are my jam. Pain once caused issues, but they had a plan. A life-changing brace with no surgery to fear. Activity without limits, one more reason to cheer. Watch me. Industry-leading scoliosis treatment at Shriners Children's. The most amazing care anywhere.
Your pride and joy is measured in acres. Keep them looking their best with the Kubota lineup. Versatile Sidekick utility vehicles, the #1 rated tractor brand for durability and owner experience. Professional grade mowers for a professional cut. It's equipment built with one purpose, to get the job done right.
The American Western Weekend. 2 nights of Western sports and live entertainment. Deep in the heart of Texas. March 8th and 9th, Globe Life Field. Friday night, the American Performance Horsemen with a concert by Luke Bryan. Saturday night, the American Rodeo with a concert by Post Malone. The American Western Weekend, March 8th and 9th. Tickets on sale at AmericanRodeo.com.
This has become a staple all 3 weekends from Arlington with college baseball. Yep, the pony races, making sure you got to have the right form. You can't side saddle that unless you're wearing a Texas shirt. Anyway, that's neither here nor there. What is new this year, though, for Coach Schlossnagle? Look at him, up early, working with the horses on the farm. Just got a farm in the offseason, about a 15-minute drive from the stadium, and you know, most coaches don't sleep anyway, so
no, they don't.
You're going to be up early. Why not go out, tend to the horses? Coach Schloss doing that this year.
I loved it. I loved hearing him talk about they bale hay out there. He's got his own tractor, and he and his girlfriend have some horses out there. And I mean, it's relief. It's a chance to get on a tractor, go out, walk out in the middle of it, and not think about or worry about baseball briefly.
This pitch in the dirt, that is 3 very quick pitches for a strikeout, as Montgomery is struck out by Schieffer, back for his 3rd inning of work. Yeah, everybody needs that outlet, right? Just to relax and think about how now, especially 365-day a year, a job it is. Coaching any sport, especially college baseball.
It's year-round, and everybody wants that place they can go and relax, catch the breath. You know, Jim's kids are older. I mean, so you need that moment. And in all honesty, it clears your brain, and it gives you a chance to wake up the next day and walk in the office with new ideas and new creativeness.
Inside on 1-0 to Hayden's shot. Are you at a farm? What was your thing?
No, I didn't have a farm. I mean, I had my kids. I went back, had the kids the second time, and they were younger, so they were my relief, and chasing them and their sports.
I'm glad it was a relief, because that could it could be a lot.
Yeah,
that's good.
It was no, and look, I enjoyed it so much, being able to when I had time, it was to go hang out with them. And now, you know, as you get older and you get a chance to have like what Jim's doing, it's helpful. It really is. I mean, look, you can't go out and play golf. That's 4.5 hours, 5 hours by the time you play a round of golf, even though that's my hobby. And so you look for things, and Jim's found his.
Ball hit hard off the bat of Hayden's shot, but right into the glove of Harris Williams. It's funny you say golf, because that would be my #1, but every time I do it, I inevitably feel guilty that. And I'm not a college coach, but I'm still like, yeah, should I really be doing this?
Yeah, remember now, you're trying to find an exit, a relief, or from the stress and the pressures. Golf's probably not the right idea. It's frustrating.
That's a great point. I know our graphics operator Lucas Haskins is just nodding his head.
Yeah, with a 75 today
in the truck right now as he goes out and making us all look bad. Yes.
Yep.
Glad you slid that in there, Ty.
75.
Wow. Ted Burton up here with 2 outs, bottom of the 7th. Takes that ball down, 2-0. Now Ryan Schieffer, with how good he's been out of the pen, you figure at this rate, if it's still a 4-0 game, he's worked so well, so fast. Keep him out there. Just try to get through this game only using 2 arms. You'd at least like, if you're Willie Bloomquist, the spot you're in final 2 games.
Well, when you bring relief guys in, you have 2 choices if they're throwing good. Pull them because they're throwing good, and so that you can come back and use them again on Sunday, or do what they're doing right here, keep riding him until you hope that he gives you a chance, keeps throwing good, and your offense a chance to get out there and score and win the game.
Runs 3-1. Ted Burton, he's had a tough day. 0 for 3, 3 strikeouts. The Michigan transfer. And takes ball 4. Burton was here with Michigan. They played in one of the season opening tournaments. That was 2 years ago for the Wolverines here in Arlington. And it was a 2-out walk. First time in a while Texas A&M has had a base runner. First time since the 4th inning when Montgomery got hit. And Sparks started to fly. Now it's Appel. And lost in this, where A&M has just coasted because of the pitching, is the fact that Arizona State has limited them to 3 hits. A team that, through the first 8 games, scoring about 10 runs a contest, and one of the best offenses in the country to begin with coming into the year. And outside of that 3-run shot in the first inning, A&M has not done much. Foul off here by Appel.
No, it's a great point, but sometimes it's not how many, it's what kind. And what did you do before? A la comes the walks, right? And those are singles, right? And they're 90 feet plus. And so there's a lot of different ways to score runs, and walks are just the same. We talked about earlier as a line drive back up the middle for a base hit.
Up high on 0-2.
And Ben, sometimes it's even better because you knew for sure they had to throw 4 pitches at bat. Whereas sometimes you get a base hit, it's a 0-0 count or 1-0 count.
Appel stays alive on 1-2. That's what made Schieffer so impressive to come out of the pen. First base runner he has allowed to reach. 5 strikeouts, a single walk. As the JUCO transfer from Central Arizona Junior College digs in. 1-2. Runner on the move. That's high. Throw is late. And a steal for Burton, his first this season.
What a great job of running the bases. So over there, everybody on that dugout, A&M's dugout's got a stopwatch talking about how long it takes for him to get the ball from the mound, leaving his hand to home plate. Did a good job, got a great jump. Was guessing maybe a secondary pitch. Great base running.
Chop to the right side. This one takes an awkward hop, but hits read well by Mendoza, makes the play. And another good inning of relief by Ryan Schieffer. We go to the 8th. Still a 4-0 lead for Texas A&M.
Your pride and joy is measured in acres. Keep them looking their best with the Kubota lineup. Versatile sidekick utility vehicles. The #1 rated tractor brand for durability and owner experience. Professional grade mowers for a professional cut. It's equipment built with one purpose, to get the job done right.
Elevate your ballpark experience with a tour of Globe Life Field and experience the home of the Texas Rangers like never before. Go behind the scenes and explore premium spaces, unique club settings, luxury suites, and more. Along the way, you'll discover rich history, impressive architecture, and fun photo opportunities around every corner. Globe Life Field's many tour offerings are sure to take your ballpark visit to the next level. For more information and to book your experience, visit globelifefield.com.
Kane Brown in the Air Tour. Saturday, September 14th, Globe Life Field. Special guests, Cole Swindell, Locash, and Ray Lynn. Crossover superstar Kane Brown Live. So thank God I get to on sale now at KaneBrownMusic.com. Presented by AEG Presents.
Another tremendous field of college baseball at one of the best venues in the country, Globe Life Field in Arlington. Today's broadcast is brought to you by Kubota. You need equipment with more reliability and versatility built in, like Kubota BX and L Series compact tractors, rated #1 in durability and owner experience. The sights from outside Globe Life Field. We're in game 2 of 6, final weekend of 3 to kickstart the 2024 college baseball season. Game 1 tie, a lot of great hitting and heroic moments at the dish. Game 2, it's been all about the pitching, with our only scores coming from a pair of Texas A&M long balls and Evan Aschenbeck back out for his 3rd inning of relief. yet to surrender a hit, has faced the minimum so far through 2 innings. But that one's blistered back up the middle. Ethan Mendoza's really been the only source of offense tonight for Arizona State, and he keeps it going. 3rd time he has spanked the ball to the outfield.
Oh, I tell you what, I've been really impressed with this young man's swing. The very first ball he hit to right field, they made a diving catch on. It was an elevated ball. He got his hands to the top of, created some backspin with it. Then he pulls the ball to the left side, and then he goes right back up the middle, does a really good job of keeping that barrel in the hitting zone long enough to drive it right back up the middle.
Mendoza, of the players in the starting lineup, the lone Texan from Bedford, South Lake Carroll High School, Ethan Mendoza, has to be so pumped to be back in his home state. True freshman coming in and has some of the best bat speed on the club. He has certainly validated that statement that we got back from the fall reports on ASU. And he's on base, should be on base all 3 times, but was robbed, as you mentioned, by Sorrell back in the 2nd. And for the first time, Evan Aschenbeck has to work through a little bit of stress here with Brandon Compton up at the plate.
I bet you there's I bet you there's a few family members here. That, I mean, again, that's a little bit easier trip than making your way all the way out to Arizona, but he's been impressive tonight. And I'll tell you another thing, South Lake Carroll's won.
There's a swing and a miss. Compton down on strikes.
They won a handful of state championships too now, let me tell you. Not only in football, but certainly in baseball. I actually called the 6A state championship 2 years ago for Bally's, and he was on that team. And I'm telling you, he was a good-looking player then, and he was a junior that year, if I remember right, or maybe obviously an underclassman.
True freshman now, Ethan Mendoza, over there at first. And to learn, too, from a guy like Willie Bloomquist, you know, such a rock-solid career, 14 years in the big leagues for 5 different teams. You know, one of the best to do it, hitting-wise in an Arizona State uniform, which is saying something with the amount of big-name alums ASU has had. Bloomquist tied a College World Series single-game record, had 5 hits in a game against Long Beach State back in '99. And Steven Andina digs in, a 1-0 count. And a big selling point for a whole lot of recruits why they want to go to ASU, learn from a guy like Bloomquist, as it's fouled off 1-1.
Oh, there's a lot of reasons. He's a great baseball guy, right? Obviously, he was a great player. So he's got great work habits. And there's a lot, I mean, his personality is you know, through the roof, but unbelievable university. The weather's unreal. The ballpark's nice. The tradition's good. I mean, there's a lot of reason somebody would want to go out there and play baseball.
Fouled off as the count goes to 1-2. ASU #1 on the list. Most all-time alumni to appear in MLB games.
Oh, I believe it. Look, my sophomore year, we played them in Arizona, and then met them in Omaha that year.
Check swing, that is an offer, and a strikeout for out number 2 on Andina.
I mean, that year in '85, Odabe McDowell, Barry Bonds, Don Wakamachu,
I've heard of a couple
Henry.
of those.
I mean, it just went on and on and on. The number of big leaguers they had on that team, and well, you talking about talented. A lot of those Rangers fans remember Odabe McDowell. You got to go back in a while back.
5-time College World Series title. Last though in '81. Have not made it to Omaha since 2010. Called strike in on Harris Williams. We should shout out one of those alumni, Chris Bando, just inducted into the College Baseball Hall of Fame late last month. He led ASU to the '77 title. Was named the 1970s College Baseball All-Decade Team at catcher. A great ambassador for the university, just inducted.
He sure is. You know, when I was a junior college coach in '96, I had 2 guys that left and went and played for Pat Murphy in Arizona State, Chuck Crumpton and Dan Welch, and they went out there and played in the national championship game. I think at USCB, it was like 16-15 in the final game that year. That would have been '97 or '98. One of those.
98, yeah. Last time ASU
I mean,
was runner-up. And they've been 5-time runner-ups as well. Could even have more titles as the 1-2's fouled off.
But it was like a 15 to 16. I'd gone out early. I went out there that year because I had 5 players that were, had played for me. They were playing in Omaha that year. I'm sorry, 4 players. And it would have reminded you of the teams they had in the 80s that I played against.
1-2 right now to Harris Williams, top of the order. ASU trying to get something going against this Texas A&M staff. And fought off. The Williams preseason All Pac-12 grad transfer from San Francisco out of the WCC. Career 300 hitter with the Dons, over 655 plate appearances. Hard to have more experience than that as a college baseball player. Just caught a piece and stays alive 1-2.
And now what A&M's doing right now in a 1-2 count with 2 outs, the first baseman is going to play behind the runner at first base. A lot of coaches don't choose to do that. They want to hold that runner in there, but with a 4-run lead, getting later in the game, you want to have your shoulders, if you can, your shoulders turned to home plate so you can move laterally to cover some more ground. And that's what they're doing right now. They just kind of set up behind him, then they'll retreat a little bit.
Spike that one in the dirt. And 2-2. Couple arms getting loose in that A&M pen. You would expect for Aschenbeek, who is a guy they can extend, for this to be his last inning. Shane Sadeo, the lefty, getting loose down there. Josh Stewart, a Texas transfer, warming as well. Chop back up the middle. Kent ranges to his right, catches the high hop and makes the throw. Well, the pitching has been great, but the defense behind A&M's hurlers on the mound has been excellent as well. We go to the bottom of the 8th, still 4-0 lead for the Aggies.
Your pride and joy is measured in acres. Keep them looking their best with the Kubota lineup. Versatile sidekick utility vehicles. The #1 rated tractor brand for durability and owner experience. Professional grade mowers for a professional cut. It's equipment built with one purpose: to get the job done right.
Prime by Solo Stove, you can finally think outside the cardboard box. The best pizza isn't delivered to the front door. It's made in the backyard. It doesn't come from a restaurant. It comes from you. Anywhere can be your favorite pizza spot. Any day of the week, all year long. Pie Prime is the pizza oven that's simple enough to be your first and powerful enough to be your last. Pie Prime by Solo Stove.
You're so much more than just a landowner. You're a gardener, a groundskeeper, and a landscaper. That's why you need versatile, durable Kubota equipment.
Well, look at our game summary so far. Tremendous pitching from Texas A&M. Ryan Prager, a single hit allowed in 5 innings. Evan Aschenbeck right after him, 1 hit in 3. It's basically been Ethan Mendoza and nothing else. 0 for 23, 10 Ks outside of Mendoza, while all the offenses come from A&M's 2 long balls. Braden Montgomery, 3-run homer in the first is held up. Solo shot from Caden Sorrell in the 3rd, and that is it. A very cleanly played game here down the stretch time.
Cleanly played, and you said it just a second ago. Great defense. It has been spectacular to watch.
New pitcher as well for Arizona State. Sean Fitzpatrick gets a lefty-lefty matchup against Sorrell. Had that first career homer earlier today. Slider low and outside, and Fitzpatrick comes in back in his home state from Spring, Texas, transfer from Arkansas. This is his 5th appearance already this year. 2 2/3, 3 runs on 4 hits. Pitched in 2 of the team's 4 games against Ohio State last weekend, and gets a high, lazy fly ball that Williams is all over and makes the catch. Sorrell retired to start the bottom of the 8th. And Fitzpatrick didn't pitch much with the Razorbacks, a team with an awfully deep staff, so you kind of hopes, right? Get a new opportunity, fresh start out in Tempe, where they definitely need arms after 6 guys got drafted last year. And it feels like a good fit there for Coach Willie Bloomquist.
Yeah, you'd like to think so. And again, I mean, you brought it up. Arkansas's depth. You guys got to see it, last weekend. Is a lot. So you getting time out there on the field or on the mound is tough. And then you're right. 6 drafted guys, opportunity.
This is on his first pitch to Ali Camarillo. He only pitched in 3 games last year, but he was with the Hogs. They came here. Arkansas was not only here in weekend 2 of the Kubota College Baseball Series, but they were here last year to open the season. Little number to Carstetter at third. Nice throw. Yeah, the only defensive blemish all night was when Thomas Burns, the freshman pitcher for ASU, didn't realize his first baseman was backed off the bag and tried a pickoff throw. Nobody was there, and he kind of spiked the ball into the ground, tried to pull it back last second, given an error on that play. Outside of that, though, as good as you will get for college baseball.
Yeah, absolutely.
And Caden Kent with a walk in 3 trips. We get 2 lefties in this stretch for Sean Fitzpatrick coming in. Misses outside 1-0. There's a called strike. These 2 teams will meet again on Sunday. A&M's back for the early game tomorrow against USC, 2 o'clock locally. And it's ASU TCU in the nightcap. This is sent to center field off the end of the bat. Really long run for Andina. Dives and can't get there. And Jackson broke back off a big swing that was hit off the end of the bat. And Kent drops one down for a base hit.
This is tremendous effort by a shortstop. I mean, Andina, look at this. He bit 110% effort about trying to go make a great play for his team.
Yeah, Andina has covered so much ground, too, throughout the night. Native of Puerto Rico, transferring from Florida International, as there's a called strike taken by Gavin Grahovic.
Well, look, the whole time you're running straight out with your back turned to the infield, that outfielder's coming at you, and you know it, and you're going to still dove full out to try to catch it.
This pitch off the glove of Campos. That allows Kent to go up 90 feet on the wild pitch. A&M has not had a runner in scoring position. I guess they did right at the end of the last inning when Burton stole a base with 2 outs after rock, but before that had not been until the 3rd inning.
It almost looked like he got crossed up on that pitch a little bit. Nowadays with the technology, you wouldn't think so. If he did, it just looked like he could have.
It took Campos a little bit of time to find that pitch in the dirt. 2-1 to Grahovic. The comps have been made to Grahovic, just the physical stature, to a guy who plays in this ballpark, Josh Young, great college player at Texas Tech. Fouls this one off, makes it 2-2. Those are lofty expectations, but all of his high school numbers, all the prospect rankings would tell you within a couple years he is going to be one of the top draft picks on the board. Here, see Campos took that foul. A not so fun place.
I mean, it just, I think it caught enough of the pad that it didn't get all throat or collarbone. I mean, that's such a hard. I mean, it's truly in sports one of the toughest positions. Foul balls coming back at you at 110 miles an hour, and you're going to your knees all day blocking, balls and doing all this, and you just.
Oh man,
you got to love it. I mean, if you're going to put that equipment on, you got to know what you signed up for and what's going to happen. And if you're going to get foul tips and hit, it's when. Those guys are tough. I'm going to tell you, it's hard to find really good catchers. When you do, they can make an enormous difference.
Swing and a miss. He's back in there, and his pitcher rewards him. It's Grahovic to chase on the slider. Last ups for Arizona State. 4-0 game going to the ninth from Globe Life Field in Arlington. the Arizona State fans who made the trip from Tempe patiently waiting for some offense. Only hits coming from Ethan Mendoza, the freshman. Outside of that, nada. And it's a 4-0 game as we go to the 9th.
They're still in it. I mean, look at Texas A&M's pitching has been everything has been built up to be so far tonight against a really good Arizona State lineup. But you got to look at it. If you get a walk, a couple base hits, a hit batsman, an error, whatever, and then all of a sudden, guy comes up with a chance to hit a homer, you never know. And so it's particularly after the game one we saw earlier today. I mean, in this game in college baseball, don't leave yet. There's still a lot of baseball. The 3 hardest outs in baseball to get.
And Evan Aschenbeck is still out there looking for the 12-out save. Aschenbeck giving up just a single hit. 3 strikeouts. And he gets a first pitch pop-up off the bat of Nick McClain. This stays in on the infield where Caden Kent makes the catch. We do have one defensive sub out in center field. Travis Chestnut, freshman from Pflugerville, Texas, has come into the game replacing Laviolette. That'll help awfully nicely for Aschenbeck trying to finish this thing off. And Laviolette has moved over to left field, so he's still into the game. Ryan Targach is over at first replacing Ted Burton, and we also have a new third baseman as well for Texas A&M. That's Jack Bell over there. So a lot of changes. Gorhovic out as we play in the top of the 9th. Called strike taken by Campos.
Coach Schlossnagle going with his best, what he feels like is his best defensive lineup now with 3 outs to get. You'll see a lot of college coaches do that. Put a little more speed in the outfield, maybe a little surer gloves at first and third.
Fouled back. 0-2 on Campos.
Aschenbeck has just been attack. I mean, just, and again, you've talked about it off and all night tonight with Coach Weiner and the influence that he's had so far. The culture of attack has definitely been on display tonight for the Aggies from the mound.
It's just so tough to get a guy like that out of his rhythm when he is mowing you down. When ASU, you can kind of look at it 2 ways, right? They looked overmatched in a lot of ABs at the plate, yet nobody's done what ASU has done pitching and defense-wise against A&M yet this year. So that's a really big positive to take away. Just a shame for them that the bats have not followed suit. Chopper to the right side, easily handled by Targach, and the Sun Devils are down to their final out.
Well, they are, and again, it gets him to roll over the top of it, just a little two-seamer away from him, swings over the top of it. Easy catch and go step home first base for the second out. The Aggies 1 out away. Shutout, and I mean a really impressive pitching and defensive display tonight against a really good offensive team.
ASU, a team that last year hit almost 300, 295, slugged almost 500. Both of those numbers 4th in the Pac-12. Little check swing for Tobias as he lays off. Offensive numbers have followed suit. Prager went 5 innings, struck out 8 with 1 hit. Aschenbeck looking to go the final 4. It's upstairs, 2-0 on Tobias. And he can just somehow get it to Ethan Mendoza. The issue is he's 4 batters away. But that would be the goal here for Arizona State. That would mean you'd bring the tying run to the plate. Mendoza's been their best hitter by far. Slice down the left field line. That one moves into the seats. Just a few feet foul. We'll have so much more to talk about rest of the weekend. With all the history for Arizona State and all these teams too. The matchups. This is just the second all-time meeting between the 2 teams. A&M and out away from tying up that all-time series at 1-1. I figure better days ahead, certainly at the plate for ASU. Little number foul, and the Sun Devils are down to their final strike. as the remaining A&M fans here come to their feet in what's been a very well-played nightcap to our first of 3 nights of baseball from Globe Life. Aschenbeck looking for the 4-out save. Just missed outside on the slider.
Oh, he teased him with it. He started on the outer half, trying to get him to move that barrel and swing and miss, or just kind of clip it, put it in play. Does a good job of laying off that ball's off the plate.
Looking for his 5th career save. Called strike 3. Aschenbeck, a 12-out save. And Texas A&M goes to 9-0 with a spotless performance. A 4-0 win over Arizona State.
And spotless is a great word for it, because they spotted up pitches all night long on the corners. I don't know. It's been a while for me to watch a collegiate pitching staff for 2 pitchers go out there and be able to command their secondary pitches as well as these guys did tonight for the Aggies.
Evan Aschenbeck, back-to-back outings tied, where he records 12-out saves. You do not see that very often.
Well, it's kind of like a combination, right? I mean, they go with Prager, then they go to Aschenbeck, and just saying, hey, you got the first half of the game, first 5, maybe 6, depending on the pitch count. You get the last half of the game, and now, remember, they've only used 2 pitchers in the first game. So you got the rest of your bullpen who's rested and ready to get out there tomorrow and Sunday.
And both teams, from a pitching perspective, definitely have the edge tomorrow after TCU and USC used to combine 13 pitchers, went 11 innings. TCU won that game 9-8. Better days ahead for ASU. They just ran into a buzzsaw tonight with Prager and Aschenbeck back-to-back. We'll be set to speak with Brayton Montgomery, and I know it was a tough night physically for him. Gets plunked twice, but wild to think that his homer all the way back in the first would have meant the difference. The Stanford transfer showed us the type of pop he's got in the bat. All right.
Okay, we good? Sounds good.
Well, he's kind enough to jump away from his teammates, but hey, Brayton Montgomery, thanks so much for joining us. What a special night this was for you, and how about a way to make an impact for your new team with an Oppo taco shot to left center? Take me through that AB back in the first.
Yeah, man, that was awesome. I mean, I always want to be on the heater, and he threw me a slider over the middle of the plate that I knew I could handle. Just put a good swing on it, man. It was awesome. Such a special moment, man.
Well, you played for Stanford last year with a new team. What's it been like coming to a new club and a new fan base there in College Station?
It's been awesome. It's been awesome, dude. These guys, my teammates there, they're brothers, man. They're awesome. I've had so much fun just being with them every day in the locker room, and the fan base has been unbelievable, man. They love baseball, and I love that.
And you're a guy, too, originally from the Southeast, go back into the SEC, kind of back to your roots here. And you're playing in Texas, so much history here. You're playing in the ballpark where the Rangers just won the World Series. What's this whole experience been like, just coming closer to home and playing for the Aggies?
Yeah, it's been unbelievable. I mean, every step of the way has just been, it's shattered all my expectations, and it's been awesome. I love playing with these guys and being out here. It's special. And just being out here at Globe Life is unbelievable too, man. This place is awesome.
I see you looking around. You'll have more opportunities. 2 more games here for Texas A&M. Brayton Montgomery, our player of the game. Thanks so much for joining us. Congrats on the win.
Thank you. Thanks for having me.
Brayton Montgomery, the 3-run homer that was the difference tonight as Texas A&M wins it 4-0 over Arizona State. We'll be back with you tomorrow for 2 more games. A&M, USC at 2 o'clock locally, followed by TCU and Arizona State at 6 p.m. Central. For Ty Harrington, for our outstanding team, Phil Hopwood, our producer Lucas Haskins on graphics, rest of the great Flow Sports staff, I'm Ben Wilson saying good night from Globe Life Field in Arlington. This has been a presentation of Flow Sports with our final score from Arlington, Texas A&M 4 and Arizona State 0.